the maternal father of the Pokémon world. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 827, Tactical Collapse. This Bankulus can actually dance with dragons. This really hatched and started training in the past 6 months. What is our lead doing? Why don't you attack? That's right. This has been strengthened for the second time. Are you just looking at it like this? What? Do you know that ghost cicada? Only Kikilin can deal with that ghost cicada now, so of course we must protect it. But isn't that ghost cicada too calm? It didn't move at all after it appeared, right? The audience at the scene was already talking about it. That's right, Eminem's escape ninja, after it came on stage, just hung motionless and didn't do anything. However, it puts the opponent at a disadvantage and cannot play anymore. She blindly wanted to protect Kikilin and wanted Kikilin to wake up early, which led to Ali watching Leoban perform the dragon dance twice. At this moment, Kikilin finally woke up under the call of strange antlered deer, but the shelling ninja, who has not moved all the time, although the speed is slow, is still ready. I saw the tail armor coat of Kikilin opened and closed its mouth at this time and stretched out its head to bite the motionless shelling ninja. It was the evil type, bite crushing. Theoretically, as long as it is slightly affected by the power of the evil element, the escape ninja will go offline on the spot. But at this time, Eminem directly took back the shelling ninja and replaced RPO. After Kikilin took a bite of the cotton, he immediately realized something was wrong. RPO was also bitten very painfully. After finally breaking free, a pair of red beady eyes stared at the guy with the long neck. After rubbing Eminem's eternal flame, RPO is equivalent to having regeneration power. When he comes out again, he has actually recovered part of his physical strength, but the bite is very painful. His condition is slightly better than before the substitution. Ali. Only then did Ali realize what he had just done. The other party just changed Pokémon back and forth, and during this period he did nothing. However, the other party's Bankulus had already dragon dance twice, equivalent to being prostituted twice by the other party. The increase in the strength of 1 stage and the speed of 2 stages. As for the motionlessness of the ninja out of the shell just now, it was also understood as silent ridicule, and some people even thought that maybe this ninja out of the shell was really just born, and there was no trace of anything at all. The fighting power is remarkable. I saw Leoban, who was wrapped with dragon power all over his body, waved his hand in the direction of the Killin and the strange antlered deer, and suddenly the falling rocks were denser and thicker than before, repeatedly attacking the two, although the tricky antlered deer used barrier attack again after smashing several falling rocks. The barrier collapsed and was directly hit by the subsequent falling rocks. He fainted on the spot and lost the battle. The skillfully used barrier attack can be used as a small defense with the help of the barrier condensed during the attack, just like the skillful lightning flash can be used to avoid attacks. But after all, it is just a small defense. If it is a real defend, the 2 enhanced rock slide cannot break the defense. The effective defend is extremely difficult to break within a similar range of strength. Killin had just fallen asleep and had been protected, so he was not seriously injured. At this time, he managed to catch this powerful rockfall, but he was no longer able to stand firmly. The deer has lost its combat effectiveness. Please ask the gym to replace the Pokémon as soon as possible. The referee announced at this time point. Although Ali was unwilling to give up, he could only change into a slow shell beast. Go. Dumb. At the same time as the opponent's slow shell beast appeared, Leoban's sand spreading characteristic had also passed, and the scene became clear. In this way, it would be difficult for RPO to lie to him again. But there's no need to lie anymore. After 2 dragon dances, Leoban's strength overwhelmed the audience, and the subsequent duel became a one-man show. All RPO has to do is float in the air, throw some cotton, and then, before every time Leoban activates a skill, use help to give it a boost. After being used, help, the skill gene will be active, and the next skill will be in an enhanced state. help and rock crash, coupled with the second stage of strength increase, are completely insoluble for Ali. After the coward effect is increased, it is difficult for Ali's Pokémon to use skills in the end. Ali's last Pokémon was not beyond Amu's expectations. Gem Starfish point not playing, Argotha Duck and Owl. After all, this is a super gym, and Pokémon without super attributes are still too embarrassed to use in such public viewpoint after Eminem replaced RPO when Leoban used Rock Crash. For the third time, the game ended completely. The Gem Starfish has lost its fighting capacity, and the challenger wins. The referee announced, "What? Is this the end?" In the second half of the fight, Ali had no fighting spirit at all. Yes, are you worthy of Gem Starfish and Slowpoke? No. Brother Eminem is too strong. Didn't you say before that the Kanto Newcomer competition is bullshit, and that the top 4 have no value at all? Bah. What do you know? Kanto Rookie competition? I searched it all on the internet. It's all Sakake's conspiracy. That's right. The demon hunting prison is bullshit. The winner of the Johto Newcomer competition is not Brother Amu, so there must be something shady. The critical audience was very dissatisfied with Ali's performance in the second half of the show, while the discerning audience saw the reason why Eminem was too strong point. But Ali himself had another feeling at this time. When the two sides came to the field to shake hands again, Ali was still in a daze point. Looking back now, the real turning point of this duel was the appearance of the escape ninja, to be precise. It was my tactical chaos after that. Otherwise, if you play steadily, although you are still no match for Eminem in terms of strength, you will at least be able to fight back and forth, and the scene will be much better, and Eminem also achieved his goal. Listening to the audience's comments, you can tell that this duel mainly showed 3 characteristics. Bankiris's super strength, Shuttlecock Cotton's not very strong, and the tactical arrangement of Ninja Escape Point. After it was posted on the internet, there were different opinions, and these 3 theories will exist: whether Eminem crushes with strength or relies on tactics to win, and how much combat power that Shell Ninja has will become controversial point. Although it is the challenge of the 8th badge, but it is conceivable that there will not be much valuable information about Eminem on the internet. Dang. In the last 2 days of this month, please vote for me. Please vote for me. If you still have tickets, don't waste them. Chapter 828 Sweetening. After Eminem challenged the gym, he quietly put on sunglasses and a big brimmed hat and left the scene. If this continues, it seems that I need to ask Mr. McCree for advice on how to deal with the problem of my excessive popularity. By the way, do you think I should consider it and also coordinate my debut as a teacher? Eminem was very excited. He humbly asked for advice from Tomoyo, Sakura and AI. Okay, do I need to introduce you to some clothing endorsement contracts? Tomoyo asked with a smile. Point as one of the main projects of Daodaoji Group. Daodaoji family has too many resources in this area, but after thinking about Sakura's magical girl uniform and looking at Tomoyo's eyes at this moment, Eminem still shook his head and refused. I'm a pharmacist with integrity. How can I always show my face like a popular idol? I have to follow the route of being an artist. Eminem muttered. Oh. What kind of art do you know? Zio AI sharply pointed out the problem. I have to go seeking slow. After hearing this, Eminem paused and looked concerned about the country and the people. Point of course, Eminem is actually planning to go after lunch. After all, this is not something that has to be done in a hurry. It is not the first day that the Slowpoke King in the form of Galar exists in the Well of Slowpoke. Both parties are now. The war has also ceased. However, at this moment, Eminem saw Jack walking up to him. He was not face blind at all, so he recognized Eminem. Jack, what's wrong? Amu saw that the other party came directly to him. We have to conquer the Slow King of Galar as soon as possible. Although Jack didn't say it clearly, go now was written all over his face. What happened? Amu wondered when he heard this. The 2 groups of Slowpoke clashed again. Jack said with a headache. Why hasn't the misunderstanding been resolved? Amu asked in surprise. I'm also surprised. It seems because the water quality has changed. Suddenly, many fish in the Slowpoke well became sweeter when they ate them. The Galar Slowpoke thought they belonged to other Slowpoke conspiracy. Jack was also helpless and confused about this. The Gala Slowpoke in the Well of Slowpoke is not really from the Gala region, but is the result of mutation due to the previous cultivation of Gala cardamom point in terms of food habits. After the surrounding farmers localized Gala cardamom under the guidance of the Patrol Association, these Gala Slowpoke have also become omnivorous. They will eat the fish eaten by the sky crown Slowpoke, as well as it eats plants like a Galarian Slowpoke. Suddenly, sweet Zyoke couldn't help but say something, but she was immediately stuffed back into her backpack by Sakura. Suddenly, sweet Zyoang imitated Zyoke's tone and said it again, pretending that she was the one saying it just now. Jack looked at Sakura strangely, but then he explained what was going on. Jack actually didn't know what was going on specifically, but after communicating with the wild Slowpoke, he learned about the conflict between the two parties, or rather, the reason why the Gala Slowpoke were angry. Afterwards, he also investigated the underground lake and found no abnormalities. He even tried eating fish in the lake and found no abnormalities. It's just that the sluggish king of Gala swore that the fish they ate before had become sweeter. This was simply the greatest humiliation to it and its compatriots. As for the Steel Slowking, he said sarcastic remarks such as it doesn't hurt to be sweeter, and I think it tastes better, which made the Gala Slowking think that this was all the other party's conspiracy. Eminem and Sakura looked at each other at this moment, feeling that this unprovoked change seemed a bit familiar. It's probably Kurokard's fault, although Sakura didn't dream last night, so she can't be sure, but Clocard is not always dreamed of every time it appears. Then, let's go and see it together, Sakura said immediately. Of course Tomoe nodded, and as for Jack, he also knew that these two little girls were at Clearcliff before. Although he didn't know their strength, he thought they wouldn't be a hindrance, so he agreed. As for why not find Iron Master, Eminem estimated that firstly, it was because he said he wanted to conquer the Slowking of Gala. Secondly, the injury medicine did not have such an immediate effect when used on humans, so he had to rest when he should. However, Eminem still stopped by the Steel Master's workshop. Sure enough, Amu didn't even see Iron Master's face. As soon as he came to the door, he saw Zyoju coming out and handing a Pokeball to Amu. Eminem looked at the Pokeball in his hand. Visually, it was about the same size as an ordinary Pokeball. As for the shape, it was indeed still roughly spherical, but it already had the shape and color of a Slowpoke crown point. As soon as you buy it, you can feel that the quantity is unusual, and the feeling on the skin is indeed a metallic texture. This type of special Pokeball is often disposable, even if the connection is changed later, and the different space coordinates of the conquered Pokémon are imported into other Pokeballs. This Pokeball cannot be used again. This is still the result of steel technology advancing with the times. If it is the traditional craft of the Uzumaki clan in Zioan Town, the Gowl mask produced will have the same effect as the Pokeball, but it cannot be connected to the current Pokeball transmission network, which means that it cannot be remotely stored or exchanged. Kemon. You can only be like the ancients. If you want to exchange Pokémon that exceed the number after being fostered, you have to come to the place where they were fostered and replace them manually. Unlike the current Pokémon teleportation technology, transfer and exchange can be achieved by remotely changing the binding coordinates of the Pokémon ball. In addition, Iron Master's Pokeball actually doesn't need to be replaced. It's such a size that it can be placed directly in the Game Ball, and all the interfaces are included. After receiving the Elf Ball given to him by Iron Master, Eminem also gave Zyojudian 2 bottles of toner, hoping that Iron Master would get well soon and tone his skin soon. Eminem and his team, together with Jack, came to the Well of Slowpoke again. When we walked deep into the underground lake, we found two Slowkings quarreling again. To be precise, it was the Gala Slowking, unilaterally angry. Slowking is originally a Pokémon with higher intelligence and speaks very logically, and Amu can understand it using animal senses. Arsehole. Sure enough, you did it, right? How is this going? Gala's stupid king was dissatisfied and threw a fish in front of a Wang. I don't know either, but it does taste better. Wang spread his hands It tastes like a beep. I warn you, stop this behavior immediately, otherwise, this is a declaration of war against us. The Slow King of Galar obviously regarded the other party as the real murderer. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 829 Strange Medicine. Stop. Wait a minute. What's the matter that we have to say that we can't talk about properly? When Eminem spoke, he also ran between the two. Boy, get out of the way. I'm going to teach these sweet monsters a lesson today. Galar Slowman angrily transmitted its consciousness to Amu Point, who doesn't like sweet food. You're right, boy. Daewanga Wang said with an indifferent expression. Whether it's sweet or spicy, it's not a big deal. Ahem. I mean, it's not something that cannot coexist. How about you try sweet and spicy? Eminem said with great insight. Point afterwards, I received the Slow King's gaze x2. Point after a period of silence, King Slow of Galar said, it must be these guys who have destroyed the water quality. No. Daewanga Wang spread his hands and said, point boy. Do you think so? The Slow King of Galar obviously couldn't understand its attitude, so he asked Amu to comment. Well, I don't know what's going on yet. Eminem obviously didn't want to be the judge. Point however, considering that he still had to conquer the Galar Slowpoke, Eminem leaned slightly towards it and said, I don't know how the things here are sweetened, but in terms of taste, I like spicy food. Sure. Enough. Although Galar's Slow King was still unhappy, he was much more pleased with Eminem. Point the stupid King Owan curled his lips and said, really? Suck yours? Slim Shady. No, 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 I don't have a tail. Of course Eminem knows that this is the habit of Slowpoke, to judge whether the other person is compatible with him by identifying the smell of his tail. Point this also makes Sky Crown Slowpoke and Galar Slowpoke not get along well. After all, Sky Crown Slowpoke's tail is sweet, while Galarian Slowpoke's tail is spicy. Stay. At this moment, the slow beasts around them suddenly screamed. What's wrong? Amu became nervous when he saw this. Nothing. They are saying it is delicious. Daewanga Wang said matter-of-factly. Delicious? What's delicious? Eminem was stunned when he heard this. He wasn't eating anything. Point, but in a blink of an eye, Eminem also understood, and his expression was a little strange. As expected, he just heard Wanga Wang said, I ate it half an hour ago. Well, Slowpoke's reaction speed is extremely slow, or it may be, to lazy. Point in short, if it is a Slowpoke, it will be very inconvenient to train. Things will get better after evolving into Slowpoke and Slowpoking. Slowpoke can at least be trained normally, while Slowpoking is too smart, which will also affect some training. Point, because if you are too smart, you will disobey the trainer's control. Such as Eminem's Ghost Stone and Pippi. Broadly speaking, the most obvious one in this regard is Metagross. It is extremely intelligent, calm, and cruel, and cannot be controlled by ordinary trainers. Therefore, although the Suzuki group is not lacking, Sonozi also does not have a Metagross or an unevolved Iron Dumbbell. What? Hateful. Galar's Dumb King said angrily when he saw this. His eyes behind the shell glared, and then he hurriedly walked towards his territory. What's wrong? Upon seeing this, Amu quickly followed. Point when he and King Slow of Galar came to another connected underground lake, Eminem discovered, stay, the Slowpoke beasts here showed depressed expressions one after another. Sure enough, it's sweet again. Galar King Day said angrily, huh? Didn't you eat it before? Only now do you know? Amu wondered. Point ordinarily, Galar's Slowpoking is not a Slowpoke, so it would take half an hour to give a reaction. Of course, what I eat is seasoned. Galar Slowking said proudly. Point compared with the raw food habits of ordinary Slowpoke, Slowking eats cooked food, especially Galar Slowking, which almost certainly eats cooked food. Point it has nothing to do with us. Daewanga Wang also followed at this time. Point but its tone and its dull expression that seemed to be smiling at any time did look a bit sarcastic. Okay, let's take a look at what's going on with the sudden sweetness. Eminem interrupted the Galar Slowking's anger at this time. What else could it be? Then I will give you a demonstration. The Galar Slowking said at this time point I saw that it used its mind power to fish a fish directly from the lake and then placed it in a clay pot on the side. This clay pot also looked very simple. Maybe it was cooked by itself. Then I saw King Slow of Gala put some leaves and seeds collected in dry places in the nest into the pot. King Slow of Gala demonstrated his ability to cook. Seeing this made Eminem want to take a photo and send it to Yorkshire. Even King Dude can cook. These plants are actually the so-called Gala cardamom, which is a general name for a group of plants that grow in Gala. They have different flavors and are mostly very strong, suitable for use as spices at the same time. It also has certain medicinal value. The medicinal effect is limited when used alone, but the effect will be enhanced after mixing, and it is difficult to control. Therefore, it is dangerous for the Gala people to rashly try recipes with a large variety of spices. As for the Dark King of Gala, after eating these all year round, mixing them in the body, and mixing them with his own poison power, the efficacy of the medicine will be greatly improved. Then I saw King Slow of Gala lighting a fire with his mind, and then began to stir the clay pot with a wooden stick, while chanting something. Even with the ability of animal senses, Amu couldn't hear what it was saying. Then I saw that the green orb on the shell on its head was flowing out of a poisonous power. It's just that the power of the poisonous system does not necessarily appear to be poisoning. It can also be like now. It is just seasoning. It is the unique characteristic of Gala Sloking, strange medicine. The effect is to release the medicinal power mixed in your body. Generally speaking, the largest and most common kind of medicine is status recovery, which is represented by strange medicine. Slut King can assist teammates, restore status, or restore reduced abilities, followed by restoration of physical strength. But there are also rarer medicinal powers. This is not even considered awakening, as long as a certain type of medicine is used, and the Sloking is properly cultivated. The effect of the strange medicine can be affected. That's why I said that the Sloking of Gala, who has the strange medicine property, goes well with the pharmacist. Originally, most of the potions could not be used on the battlefield, but it was naturally not a foul for Sloking to activate strange potion. This was its own ability. Outside of battles, Gala Sloking's body is good at identifying, analyzing, and experimenting with mixed reactions. It is also the pharmacist's best assistant Pokémon choice. Soon, a pungent aroma came out of Gala's King Slow's pot. Chapter 830 Gambling. Seeing that Eminem seemed to have a strong appetite, Gala Sloking was quite satisfied. Next, Gala Sloking used his mind to pick up the cooked spicy grilled fish from the pot, divide it into 3 parts and place them on a wooden plate. 2 of them flowed to Eminem and the stupid King Awang respectively. I saw King Day Day sniffing, then holding the plate lower and twisting slightly, as if he wanted to put his tail in and stir. The next moment, Gala Sloking flew over with a flying kick. I'll fight. However, Sloking Awang easily dodged it. Awang is Iron Master's Pokémon. Although Iron Master's main job is to be a handmade Pokéball master and not a professional trainer, no matter what, Awang is better than the wild Sloking. The growth is much higher. Dip it for you? Awang took advantage of the opportunity to dodge and wanted to stick his tail into the plate of the Gala Sloking. Gala Sloking quickly dodged and at the same time hit Awang with his head with a shell crown. Get out of here. At this moment, Sakura suddenly exclaimed, "Ah! Here, just." When the 2 Slokings were fighting, a white figure suddenly appeared out of thin air next to them. This figure was small, and it suddenly appeared behind the hand of King Slow of Gala holding the plate. If Sakura hadn't been sensitive to something, she would have missed it. At Sakura's reminder, the 2 Sloking also noticed, and quickly took a step away from each other to let everyone see. Sweet Eye saw a small lump of cream. No, it was a small Pokémon with a body that looked like cream, floating here right now. She looks like a little girl wearing a skirt and a gorgeous hairstyle, but her whole body is covered in cream, and she is only less than 30 centimeters tall. From the appearance, it looks like a frost milk fairy. Frost milk fairy? How is that possible? Jack was also confused at this time. Would there be a frost milk fairy in the environment here? Unscientific, right? Is the surrounding ecology in chaos again? There should be no native population of frost milk fairy in Chyanguan continent. It is indeed Gampei. Eminem said at this time. Eminem had already guessed what he said before about becoming sweeter. Inexplicably. This frost milk fairy has strawberries on its head and the cream is white. The incarnation of Ganpei is also the image of the frost milk fairy. Hello, sucking? Day Wanga Wang asked the frost milk fairy. Because of the taste, Day Wanga Wang is very fond of this little thing, but, like a crazy person, what? Why does it smell weird? The anger value of Gala Sluggish King has steadily increased. And at this time, Frost Milk Fairy accurately threw strawberries and a dollop of cream on her body into its spicy grilled fish. Gala Slowking, suffer death. Take this king's blow. Gala Slowking suddenly wielded the head hammer, which also had telekinesis attached to it. Sweet. However, the Frost Milk Fairy easily dodged, as if she was having fun. Ganpei, you can't do this. Sakura took out the sealing staff. At this time, Sweet Frost Milk Fairy tilted her head upon seeing this. Obviously, Ganpei is a very kind, cool Luope, and does not have a strong desire to attack. It just adds butter to spicy grilled fish. What is wrong with it? Of course, being kind is kind, and when Sakura went up to seal it, Ganpei still avoided it, and, while dodging, he was also throwing cream at each Gala Slowpoke. Stop, stay dumb. The Gala Slowpoke who were in a daze were directly slapped with cream on their faces. Some of them were even thrown into their mouths when they were asleep with their mouths open. Fortunately, it was Slowpoke, so none of its reactions were violent. It's just that Gala Slowking reacted violently. RRR. Stop for me. In the underground lake space, the Gala Slowking was swinging the head hammer below, and Sakura was flying in the air riding the sealing staff, chasing a small, but very flexible Frost Milk Fairy is running around. Jack also realized at this time that the girl should be Sakura is actually Eminem was about to explain to him. When he saw this, Jack has already answered. Magical girl, slim, shady. Indeed, in this world, the wizarding world also deliberately creates confusion. Looking at Maya's dress, we can see that many wizards dress up in strange clothes when they are out in the world, just so that at the critical moment, even if they are discovered, they can fool them by saying I'm a magical girl. It seems that magical girls and wizards are almost as bizarre, but after all, this is the world of Pokémon. And it's not surprising that there are occasionally weird things, weird people, and weird abilities. What the wizarding world really wants to hide is a systematic wizarding world. As for magical girls, even if they find one or two, everyone will only think of them as trainers with special abilities. Sinnoh and female sailor warriors. There is no organized wizarding world on the Xianguan continent, so even the rangers are more familiar with magical girls. It can also be seen that, although Hinata is not as good as Jack in terms of ranger level, she is more knowledgeable than Jack, so that Frost Milk Fairy should be some kind of magic girl's prop? I see. Jack speculated. Eminem didn't specifically correct him at this time, but just told him that Sakura had reported it. At the same time, Eminem looked at the spicy grilled fish in front of him. He came without lunch after the gym battle, so he was really hungry. So Eminem took out the retractable chopsticks from his portable belt bag. As for catching the Gan card, let's leave it to Sakura. I see that Tomoyo has already enthusiastically released Rotom for filming. It just looks like from the lens, the little Frost Milk Fairy is inconspicuous at all. And after all, it is not the real Frost Milk Fairy, but the incarnation of the power of Kuro card. It comes and goes, but it is also chasing after it. King Lear is like a villain. No matter how you look at it, it looks like magical girl versus monster drug guy. Just when Eminem was watching and about to start, the Frost Milk Fairy suddenly appeared in front of Eminem. Sweet. Seeing that Ganpei is about to add more ingredients to Amu, the other two have already been harmed by it, among which a Wong still actively cooperates at this critical moment. Eminem saw the Gala Slowking who was rushing toward him, shaking his head as he ran, and was about to cry, so Eminem threw the last plate of grilled fish to the Slowking to save it from the poisonous hands. At the same time, he embraced the Frost Milk Fairy in front of him. Return to your original appearance. Ganpei. Chapter 831 Conquer. I saw the King of Gala, running, crying, and shaking his head. If a slow motion replay was added, it would be very suitable for the occasion. At this moment, Eminem threw the last plate of spicy grilled fish to it, and the Gallus King also swooped in and saved it perfectly. As for the frost milk fairy, in other words, it was Ganpei. Obviously, he didn't expect that there would be another claw card user. He was completely unprepared, but he was caught directly by Eminem. I saw that Frost Milk Fairy hadn't played enough, and she changed back into the Gan card. In the card picture above, Frost Milk Fairy was still pouting faintly, looking a little angry. Don't be angry. I also like desserts, Eminem said to Ganpei, at the same time, in front of the Gallus King, who had just successfully saved and was holding grilled fish with both hands raised. Owan came over and stretched out his hand to it. At this time, Gallus Slowpoke King also realized that the sweetening was caused by other Slowpoke monsters and had nothing to do with these Slowpoke beasts. When he saw this, he thought the other party was here to make peace, so he also extended his hand. Also, its shell crown, in the prone position, affects the view too much. The next moment, the Gala King realized that instead of reaching out for support, this guy was clearly holding its own tail, trying to disturb his grilled fish. Fortunately, at the critical moment, Gallus King discovered it in time and quickly drank the grilled fish in his hand without leaving even the thorns. Stay. The surrounding Gallus Slowpoke seemed to be in some confusion at this time. They have just been sweetened, and now they are distinguishing this taste. Great. This magic prop is really good. It must be super sweet, Jack exclaimed at this time. After hearing this, Eminem was confused. What? Did you hit me? Sweet. Why is it so good? The Gala Slowpoke here were originally mutated due to the Gala cardamom plant. If the taste is close to the original Slowpoke again, although they themselves will not change, it will be easier for the next generation to change back to this place. The original Slowpoke, Jack said with a sigh of relief. Looking at the aggrieved Slowking of Gala, Jack reminded Eminem in a low voice, the reason why the efficiency of genetic regression will be slower if there is a Slowking is because it can evolve into a Gala Slowking. As for the king, its taste is too Galarian. Even if the tribe is already eating fish, it will like spicy food, and, as the king of the tribe, its taste will also affect other tribesmen, which will indirectly delay the return of genes, increasing the probability of Gala Slowpoke appearing in the next generation. Only then did Eminem realize that it was no wonder that Jack was eager to move the Slowking of Gala away. But at this time, seeing that the tribesmen were actually tempted by the sweet party, King Slow of Gala first became helpless and furious, and then acted like a defeated dog. Unlike the Gala Slowpoke King, these Gala Slowpoke, although genetically speaking, are in the form of Gala. After all, they are all born from original Slowpoke, and they are not interested in the original sweet taste. There is also a certain ability to accept it. If it were a real Gala Slowpoke, it wouldn't be a question of whether it likes sweet or spicy food, but rather it wouldn't eat fish at all. It would only specialize in grass eating, and it wouldn't like soaking in water. These Gala Slowpoke are still very celestial in the final analysis. Seeing this, Eminem walked up to the king of Gala. Laugh at me as much as you like. Maybe my people will really become freaks who eat sweet and spicy food. My spicy empire. King Gala muttered to himself in a daze. Slim Shady. Actually, I still like spicy food among the main meals. How about traveling with me? Eminem made an invitation. My empire has come to an end, and everything will become the slave of the sweet party. Let me and the afterglow of this empire dissipate together. Gala looks like there are so many silly things to do. Of course, Eminem doesn't believe that it will commit suicide. This is obviously just making trouble. I might go to Gala in a while. Do you know Gala? It's a place where all Slowpoke like to eat spicy food. Eminem used this to seduce King Slowpoke. For Pokémon with extremely high IQs and logic close to humans, persuasion is the most effective way to conquer them. If you just use the Pokéball to shoot the king, it will be easy to be betrayed by the Pokémon. Even the Pokémon that are conquered by normal Pokéballs often defect due to disagreements in various aspects, so Iron Master generally does not accept orders from ordinary trainers. Of course, for the average trainer, even if the Pokémon opposite is smart, it does not mean that he can communicate with the Pokémon without any obstacles. You want me to abandon my people? The attitude of King Slow of Gala has obviously loosened. I will take care of your people. Diddly King Awang now had a posture of I will support your wife, which made Gala's Dorking King even more indignant. Seeing that Gala Slow King didn't want to leave, Eminem said quickly, Awang, don't bully, ahem, don't deliberately harass Slow King. If he is called bullying, the Slow King of Gala will become even more violent. It is going to travel with me soon. You can say goodbye properly. Eminem said on his own initiative. Hello. When did I say that I would go to Gala with you? Gala's dumb king suddenly said dissatisfied. I haven't even said that I'm going to Gala right away. Eminem complained in his mind. When the stupid King Awang heard that it was about to leave, he hesitated and said, then, suck yours? Gala Slow King. Get out of here. Oh. Daewang Awang gave up immediately. For the Slowpoke King who likes sweet taste, it can be said that you don't need to smoke to know that neither Gala Slowpoke nor Slowpoke King will get along with you. This was for the sake of parting and making peace, so he forced himself to say it. Since the other party didn't want to, Awang naturally gave up immediately. Well, this kind of habit is actually only possessed by the King of Heavenly Crown. Gala Slowpoke doesn't use this as a criterion. Human, this king is hotter than you can imagine. I'm afraid you don't know enough. Your human curry, even if it's spiciness level 5, is only slightly spicy to me. Gala Slow King said in a terrifying tone at this time. Well, that's the way it seems to me. Eminem also nodded. Oh, interesting. Can you accept my spiciness? That's not just hotness level 5. Gala Slow King looked like you caught my attention. I do like it a little spicier. Eminem continued to nod. Tom Moyo, who was standing by, heard him say that the curry wasn't spicy enough and smiled kindly. Dang, it's the last day of the month. Please give me a monthly pass. Please don't let the monthly pass expire. Chapter 832 Emergency Situation. Oh, but why do I want to travel with you? If I really go with you, you won't be sent away just because you cry. Seeing that the Slow King of Gala has only the last bit of arrogance left, he has not yet approved of traveling with Eminem. So, Eminem didn't waste any time and took out the Gala Slow King special ball. Then, let me show you my determination to be hot. Amu said, throwing the Gala Slowpoke special ball over. It's obviously the Iron Master's skill, but how did it become your determination? ZOAI complained at the side. However, after the Gala Slow King was put into the elf ball, the ball only shook 3 times, and then it stabilized. With the mental power of Gala Slow King, it is actually impossible to conquer the special ball directly, even if his physical strength is not weakened at all. Now it's just a half push. Let's go out first. Jack suggested at this time. The Rangers were generally very opposed to forcible containment. That is, they were very resistant to special balls, but for the current situation, Jack naturally understood it. Jack is now worried that Eminem will release the Gala Slow King immediately. When the time comes, it will become arrogant when it sees its own people. Eminem also accepted his suggestion, and the group returned to the Pokémon Center first. Eminem and others can finally have a good meal, and Jack can finally submit the return visit record to the association. Because he had been hungry since noon, he had eaten dinner early, and when he returned to his room, Eminem released the Gala Slow King. Boy, are you brave? How dare you forcibly take me in? Are you ready to beg for mercy? The Slow King of Gala looked angry. Well, I just have some stomach left. Eminem said that he was only 5 minutes full after eating. Then Eminem asked, by the way, how about giving you a name? It would be more difficult to call you Slow King. Distinguish, asshole. This king is a guy like you. Can you name me? Gala Slowpoke still has some king baggage. King. In that case, let's call you Little Boss. You see, you feel like the master of the house. Eminem said insightfully. Yeah? But, why small? Gala Slow King seemed to be really frightened, but he still had some doubts. It just means cute. Eminem said firmly. I see. Then I, the king, allow you to be addressed in this way first. Dark King of Gala. No, the young master looks very easy to coax. The young master's telepathy at this time is always in a broadcasting state, and ZOAI can naturally hear it. ZOAI curled her lips as she watched At this time, she didn't want to pay any attention to him and said, "I'm going to work." Her research was still continuing. As for the little boss, now that he has been called the little boss, Eminem showed him the Mapio tofu instructional video. I don't seem to have these spices. The spices recorded in Xiaodangjia's body are basically Gale cardamom and the localized Gale cardamom. And Mapio tofu uses local spices from the Johto area, which naturally has no memory and cannot be synthesized. It doesn't matter. I can buy some back later. Speaking of your characteristic, strange medicine, you can actually synthesize potions and even release potions, right? Formation. What is that? The young master has not had much contact with humans, so he doesn't understand it very well. It's something that after the materials are combined, it can produce a completely different effect from the previous one. Eminem said seductively. On the one hand, the young master with the property of strange medicine is a good candidate to be a pharmacist's assistant. On the other hand, for Eminem at this stage, it also has another meaning. Now Eminem is unable to refine normal potions. He has just been promoted to Poison Professor, which is when his power is least under control. The potions refined by Eminem at this stage will inevitably have extra effects, and extra effects side effect. Now is the time that is most difficult to control. As Eminem's abilities improve, mainly his knowledge of pharmacy, this extra effect will gradually become controllable. When Eminem can fully grasp the choice of extra effects and additional side effects, ready for promotion. Therefore, at this stage, if Eminem wants to refine ordinary potions, he needs a Pokémon to do it for him. As for using animal senses to communicate with other Pokémon, it is not suitable after all, and the success rate will drop sharply. However, the little master with the strange medicine characteristic has no such worries at this time. Eminem first taught it how to cook, also to arouse its interest first, and then introduced medicine teaching. Even if it cannot become a real pharmacist, it must be able to function as an assistant and substitute. Potion looks so troublesome. The young master curled his lips and said, "This, where your strange medicine can produce more changes." Amu said in a persuasive way. The strange medicine property combined with an expert level or even master level pharmacist will definitely have a stronger effect than the general awakening property. After all, it is equivalent to bringing medicine to the field, so medicine is very important. However, this does not mean that you can just give it the medicine once. Instead, you need to consume a lot of potion materials and teach the little master the basic synthesis principles in order to add the effect of the corresponding potion to the characteristics of the strange medicine. And although it is changeable, no matter how powerful the potion refined by Amu is, it will still have the characteristics of strange medicine taking effect, and the effect will basically not exceed the scope of characteristics. For example, even if Eminem refines the magic medicine of strength encouragement 3 stages and uses strange medicine to release it, it will only be 1 stage at most, unless the little master's strange medicine characteristic is awakened. On February 11th, the day after Eminem obtained his 8th badge, the 4 embarked on the journey again. This time, Amu plans to go directly through the eastern mountainous area of Manjin Peninsula. During this period, he will only pass through a few small towns in the mountains or near the sea. He will not make any stops. Instead, he will leave Manjin Peninsula directly and target the center of the central Chengdu area. City Platicadan City. Originally, Eminem expected to arrive in Platicadan City before the 15th, but on the 13th, while camping in the mountains, he met an unexpected person, Miwako. Such a coincidence? When Eminem was training Pokémon near the campsite, he suddenly saw a wind dog jumping out. He was startled at first, and then he saw that an old acquaintance was riding on it. Ah, sure enough, you are nearby. Miwako's reaction when she saw Eminem didn't look like a coincidence, and at this moment, I saw a big bird screaming and flying through the air. When it passed over Am's head, it lowered some height, and a figure jumped down directly. I heard from Jack that you left Supertown 2 days ago, so I guessed that you might be nearby. The person who came was none other than the ranger that Eminem had first met, Hinata. Eminem looked at these 2 people, Juncha from the Special Operations Team, and a rare but elite ranger. They appeared at the same time, and they were still looking for themselves, and he understood that something must be going on. What's wrong? How can I help you? Eminem could also guess that there must be something he needed help with. It was probably because there was something going on around him, and Hinata happened to know his whereabouts. And it's not a trivial matter to be able to get the Junsha Department and the Rangers Association to take joint action. Darn. This month is about to pass, so if you still have monthly votes, hurry up and vote. Chapter 833. Asking for help. What's wrong? How can I help you? Amu asked proactively. Usually, whether it is the Junsha Department or the Rangers Association, Amu is always in trouble, and of course, he is also providing them with help. What's more, as a just party, if he can help them, Eminem is obliged to do so. Realizing that Miwako and Hinata were still stunned after seeing him, Eminem brushed his bangs, and stars seemed to flash around his face. It was Miwako who reacted first and asked quickly, I heard from Ranger Jack that you forcibly subdued a Gallasloking, right? It's not that forceful, right? Eminem was also puzzled, thinking to himself, why does Jack's mouth look like a cotton waistband? That's not the question. After all, it was conquered with a special ball, right? Hinata also confirmed this matter at this time. Eminem also realized at this time that he probably needed the little boss to cooperate with them in doing something. Yes, what's wrong? Amu nodded matter-of-factly. Great. Actually, there is a serious case that needs your help and that Gallisloking's help. Miwako said matter-of-factly. However, Eminem hadn't thought at this time that there was anything that the young master needed to do. It seemed that the other party was the Junsha Special Operations Team and the Rangers teaming up. You investigating Team Rocket? I've long suspected that bald guy. Eminem's eyes suddenly lit up. No, it has nothing to do with Team Rocket. Hinata shook her head quickly. It's a case of Pokémon forced restraint and abuse. Miwako said seriously at this time. Forced restraint? Abuse? Nearby? Eminem realized the seriousness of the situation at this time. Yes. From a previous incident of privately setting up a Pokémon transmission network, we discovered an illegally operated nurturing house. It is said to be a nurturing house, but it is actually specially designed for those who cannot train themselves after being forcibly collected. The evil trainers of Pokémon provide services and use illegal detention, torture and other methods to forcibly train foster Pokémon in order to achieve the purpose of controlling the trainer. We have been tracking it before, and recently, with the secret cooperation of many parties, we discovered the location of this black breeding house. It is in a nearby valley. Because it is inaccessible, it has never been discovered. Miwako explained at this time point. When Amu heard this, he frowned and said, so bad? Shouldn't there be a lot of Pokémon that were harmed? And they haven't been found yet. After asking, Eminem felt a little regretful, as if he was blaming Miwako. However, Miwako also understood what Eminem meant, and just shook her head and said, of course it is difficult to find out, because the trainers who work with them often deliberately conceal the situation. Even if a Pokémon is killed, they will handle it themselves, and will not report it. We also found out about a case where a Pokémon lost control and injured someone. We happened to find that the injured person had used an illegal transmission network before, and we followed the clues and found this black breeding house. Now that we've discovered it, what else do you need me to do with King Slow of Gala? Amu asked in confusion. For this kind of case, it is impossible for only Miwako and Hinata to come. The manpower should be sufficient. And if he really lacks combat power, so he comes to find the nearby Eminem, then he should seek help from Little Flash, not Little Master. The enemy is very cunning, and the valley is very well guarded. Even the surrounding wild Pokémon will be expelled. If they break in by force, the opponent will probably send away all the Pokémon they contain and destroy the records. Hinata heard this, shaked his head. It means that it is easy to rush in and catch people, but once the snake is alerted, those Pokémon will be sent back. These guys so smart. They don't even want a chance to make meritorious deeds. Amu was surprised when he heard this. It's not that simple. If those Pokémon are sent away and there is no list of trainers who cooperate with them, it will be difficult to convict. It's just illegally setting up a Pokémon transmission network, operating a training house without a license. If they were charged with such crimes, they would be able to escape most of the blame. Miwako said helplessly at this time point. After all, those trainers are also accomplices. Without evidence, they cannot be made to testify in court. I see. So we need Pokémon that doesn't look very obedient and seems to be forcibly tamed, to seduce them to develop customers and then get involved first, fix the evidence, and it's best to destroy the teleportation network first, right? Eminem, it was then that I understood. That's right. Miwako nodded, not denying the risks involved, but I can't go fishing in front of their secret headquarters too obviously, right? In addition, will they allow me to visit with them? Eminem first asked how to introduce him without disturbing the other party. He believed that they already had an idea. Then Eminem was not very reassured about this plan. It would be best if he could enter it together. About how to attract the other party to contact you. Miwako couldn't help but paused when she said this. At this moment, another burst of footsteps came, and a cloaked figure was seen walking over. Apparently he heard what Eminem just said, and he took the initiative and said, "There is a man not far ahead. In the mountain village. You can go to the Pokémon service center there. As long as you behave badly there, someone will naturally notify them." I saw this man speaking, and at this time he also put down the hood of his cloak and saw a face that looked very much like Joe's appeared under the hood point, coupled with the fact that the other party just mentioned the Pokémon service point. A mutant was almost certain that this person should be from the Joey clan. "Are you Joey?" Eminem asked. "Hello, this is the first time we meet. Just call me Xiaorang." The other party stretched out his hand and shook hands with Eminem. Well, Joey usually has higher fairy type talent, so he also has good looks, and when fairy type trainers look at Eminem, they will be less affected by the bonus of their true appearance. Hello, only then did Eminem understand that it was not just two parties, but a three-party joint operation. It was right when you think about it. If you want to collect evidence, you have the most opportunities to communicate with Pokémon from other trainers, and are the operators of the global Pokémon transmission network. Joy's assistants Point and Junsha is most concerned about human beings using Pokémon for evil. Joey is most concerned about Pokémon being harmed, and what the Rangers are disgusted with is human beings forcibly conquering Pokémon and destroying the environment. It is normal for the behavior of this illegal breeding house to attract joint law enforcement from the three companies. As for Eminem, although he is just a trainer passing by, but the greater the ability, the greater the responsibility, and Eminem's ability is as great as the bond with Zio Shen and Leo Cap. Chapter 834. It mainly depends on temperament. I'm very ashamed. I found some staff colluding with them at the service point in this village. In order not to alert others, I didn't take action yet. Xiaorang explained. At this time point Eminem had already guessed it when she just said it. Don't say that. The enemy is too cunning. The Joys have helped a lot this time, otherwise this black breeding house might not have been discovered. Hinata quickly comforted Point. At this time, Miwako explained the second question to Eminem. As for whether you can visit the breeding ground together, you can try to ask like this. If you can show that you are not too strong and you are naughty enough and valuable enough to cooperate, I think they may agree. You have to pay attention to your own safety and don't force it. If the other party firmly refuses, we will definitely put the safety of Pokémon as our top priority. This kind of criminal group keeps its lair secret very well, but if Eminem is an important client, he still has the opportunity to enter and visit it. Point. After all, the truly illegal behavior will not be made public, but will be tacitly communicated with the client's trainer. Speaking of disobedient Pokémon, Eminem thought of the duo Ghost Stone and Pippi. Point, and they are both strong enough, although it can't be compared with Twinkle, nor can it be compared with those king level Pokémon. It can still touch the edge of king level. Among ordinary Pokémon, it can be said to be strong Pokémon that are too recognizable cannot be used, otherwise you may be recognized. Miwako reminded Point. After hearing this, Eminem shook his head inwardly. Ghost Stone and Pippi were both Pokémon that he had played many times during the Kanto rookie competition. Although the other party might not pay attention to them, he still had to be careful, and if it's a stronger Pokémon, they won't dare to pick it up. Hinata added at this time point, looking at it this way, only Xiaodangjia meets the conditions. Eminem nodded and said, then I will go and talk to my companions first, and then I will go to the service point in that small mountain village tomorrow. As a righteous companion, Eminem certainly had no reason not to agree. Point as for the rest, Miwako and the others did not speak. There were far more than the three in front of them, including Kimisa, the ranger, and Joey nearby. There is no shortage of direct combat power after Eminem returned to the camping site. He also talked about this matter with Tomoyo and Sakura. Point both of them were very angry at this vicious crime and offered to help. However, we have to discuss it with Miwako and the others as to whether we can help. Point only Xiaoai. She is relatively calm. After all, she comes from a dark organization and has seen a lot of bastards. Moreover, the behavior of the dark organization that can always replenish combat power can be said to be the result of this black breeding house achieving its ultimate goal, using hypnosis to control some Pokémon, and using various. The method of forced overdraft is to train to a certain intensity and then give it to the official members to subdue and drive. Point in this regard, the dark organization is at the top of the industry. Point then there is the little boss. What needs the most cooperation is the little master himself. Only if he can act well and do well can he achieve the desired results. I see. Do you need me to punish some villains? Okay, let them know how powerful this king is. The young master said with great care. No, you don't understand at all. I'm telling you, while you're acting bold, don't have a head-on conflict. Pay attention to your own safety and cooperate with us when the time comes. Eminem immediately corrected him. Stand up. Point. Although Little Master is the king of the wild and has grown higher than ordinary wild Pokémon, he is still only over level 30. Point and that black breeding house is definitely not that simple in terms of combat power. Based on strength alone, the young master cannot make any big waves. It can even be said that he can only be trained. It's best if you can destroy the transmission device by then. If you can't, or can't guarantee your own safety, just pretend not to know and let them send you back. I'll try my best then, and it's best if I can sneak in with you. In addition, tonight, we will also study these potions overnight. Eminem told the young master clearly about all the possibilities he could think of now. Point at this time, Xiaoai reminded, if that's the case, that child can also follow. Eminem took a moment to react and realize that that kid was BUI. Indeed, although BUI does not have a special ball to prove it, he has truly been abused and his temperament cannot be faked. Point. And although the level is a bit higher, after all, it is usually just in the form of EV and others can't imagine how strong it is. But Eminem is still worried. Is it okay? Will BUI's words cause any bad memories for it? Amu asked worriedly. Definitely, but maybe it needs to be settled. Xiaoai said with certainty. Point hearing what Xiaoai said, Eminem nodded slowly. After all, Xiaoai is the one who understands BUI best. Since she said so, it must be right. Point so Eminem also warned BUI that night. BUI is usually at Leoka's place, and the coordinates are fixed. There is no need to send any breeding house. Eminem can change its coordinates to an available Pokeball at any time. Superior. Afterwards, Eminem also discussed it with Miwako and the others, and sure enough, the moment they saw little Eevee, they felt that it would definitely work. Point especially when Eminem wants it to pretend to look fearful and ferocious, grinning like a frightened cub, full of aggression, and at the same time acting very fragile and pitiful. If it hadn't been for Eminem, Gaobo would have dragged its trainer back for interrogation. That night, Eminem also pulled the little boss to make up lessons overnight. Its strange medicine properties and the results it can produce will be very important then. Early the next morning, a small mountain village that was not originally on Eminem's travel plan welcomed several unqualified guests. I saw a handsome guy roaring over on a motorcycle. Lizard. Point deliberately stimulating the breathing sound of Motor Lizard like an engine not only made Motor Lizard uncomfortable, but also parked in front of the Pokémon service point in a very disturbing way. Louder, louder. The little girl sitting in front of him looked young, but she looked very happy at this time, as if she found this very exciting. Hey, it's really a small place. It doesn't even have a decent place to live. The handsome guy was still complaining when he got off the motorcycle. Behind him, there was a girl who was also wearing sunglasses and dressed in a somewhat non-mainstream style. At this time, she also got off her motorcycle. Lizard, what are you complaining about? You're not sulking because you failed in training, are you? Geez. The girl smiled in an eccentric manner. The surrounding villagers frowned. Chapter 835. Everyone is evil. Brother, I want that. The little girl said to the handsome boy innocently. At this time, oh, the handsome guy said, and released the little Evie, who looked weak, pitiful, and helpless. Seeing this, the little girl went over and touched it, and said somewhat sadly, little Bui, let's play together tonight, bye. Bui showed some flinch. If Junsha saw this, he wouldn't think it was just a pretense, and would immediately ask the brother and sister to cooperate in the investigation. Don't always do those weird tricks. Which Evie is this? The handsome guy said impatiently. It's not just playing house. I did the experiment very seriously. The little girl argued. The handsome guy rolled his eyes and then said to the person at the service point, hey, replenish this physical strength for me. Just replenish the physical strength, don't do unnecessary things. When the other party saw that what he took out was a special elf ball, his eyes lit up. As for the illustrated book, this is a fake illustrated book that Miwako gave to Eminem. It can only be seen that the owner of the illustrated book is a rich second generation from the Kanto area. Please wait a moment. The service staff said immediately. Well, if you do a little testing, you will find that the gallus lurking in the special pokeball did take a calming potion. It looks like a typical after forcibly subduing a Pokémon. Worrying about the other party's reaction go without a doubt. However, the service staff remained silent about this, just secretly paying attention to Eminem's actions. Otherwise, let's forget it. There's no way you can conquer that gallus lurking, Jeek. The girl laughed again at this time. HMPH. You don't need to worry about it. After I completely master it, I will definitely pass this year's 3rd level pharmacist exam. No matter how you look at this handsome guy, he looks like a rich kid who is just trying to get angry, and he is planning to use the gallus lurking to take shortcuts in pharmacy. Ah. The little girl suddenly exclaimed. I saw the weak, pitiful, helpless and stressed Ibrahimovic. At this time, in the shock, he fake bit the little girl. Obviously he didn't bite, but the little girl still screamed in surprise, and immediately the little Ibrahimovic was so frightened that he backed away repeatedly. But the handsome guy then went up and kicked him. Of course, the service staff couldn't see it. In fact, Ibrahimovic had been hiding from Eminem's feet, but he screamed loudly. Although he is an unevolved Ibrahimovic, he is still an Ibrahimovic at over 60 levels. If there is a fight, it is not certain who will win. It's really embarrassing. The girl clicked her tongue at this time, and then handed 2 elf balls to the service staff. One of them is Jenga and the other is Pixie, because it was handed over by a girl. So, naturally I don't think of Eminem's 2 in the Kanto rookie competition. After a physical examination, it will be found that they also have the effect of inhibitory drugs in their bodies, and because of the existence of inhibitory drugs, their strength will also be underestimated. The girl did not even follow the procedure and show the other person the meaning of the illustrated book. The staff at the service point did not correct it. After seeing the tip point at this time, the images of the 3 villains were deeply rooted in the hearts of the staff at the service point. That's right, the 3 great villains are naturally Amu, ZioAI, and ZHIFC. As for Sakura, who failed in the election as the 4th villain, she was helplessly following Miwako and others, waiting for news at a secret camp where the 3 parties jointly enforced. Lol. Sakura had tried it before, but she couldn't act like it, so she could only stay behind. There are not many people here, except for Zio. There are no other members of the Joai clan, but there are 3 Junshus and Ranger Jack. Although the number of people is small, they are all elite. The reason why there are so few is to avoid alerting the enemy. When they really start to take action, their combat power is enough to suppress the black breeding house in the first place. As for Eminem, ZioAI, and ZHIFC, they pitched a tent and stayed for one night near the service point in the small mountain village. As expected, their low quality made the villagers hate them, and they all even talked behind their backs, for nothing. She is so good looking, has a pretty face, has no good intentions, and dresses like a beast. This quality also attracts door-to-door sales targets. At first, Eminem thought he had failed. There was nothing unusual until he left the small village the next day. But at the last moment, the staff at the service point returned the 3 Pokeballs to Eminem and Tomoyo, and at the same time, handed over a business card and said with a smile, "You two Pokémon may be a little naughty. I know a good training house. You two can see if there is any need. Replacement training." After Eminem took it, he looked at the other party with a half smile. However, the other party has stopped talking. Training house is originally a gray area, and it is more or less illegal. When reviewing the formal training house, it is not allowed to provide artificial training business. The only legal substitute training is like an armored Tyrannosaurus ranch. When the armored Tyrannosaurus or its evolved form is fostered there, it will inevitably learn from each other with the wild armored Tyrannosaurus or the armored Tyrannosaurus fostered by others. Naturally, there will be some training effect, but it does not count. Artificial training. No. Eminem pretended not to be very interested at this time point, but after leaving the service point at the entrance of the village, and before leaving the signal area, Eminem dialed the contact information above. "Hey, you are here in this shabby village, and you can come and pick up Pokémon? Can you visit?" "What? Let's talk about it." "Haha, you can't be a liar, can you?" Eminem asked with a sneer. Not long after the exchange, Eminem put down the phone and just glanced at Tomoyo, keeping his temper as for ZOAI. "To be honest, just use your instincts. When you need to perform, you can also pretend to be cute." As for the black part of Pink Karoku, not long after the 3 of them left the small village, before they left the main road, they met a trainer riding a motorcycle lizard. He looked tall and thick, with a sinister face. Eminem frowned when he saw this. "What's your level?" "A mount Pokémon like me, of course. This is a performance, but I'm actually thinking to myself, these bastards really make money. There are no wild motorcycle lizards in Chyanguan continent. They must have been purchased at a high price." "Mr. Zyroshui and Mr. Zyromi, right? I'm Dazuang. Do you two need some training services?" The other party took the initiative to ask. That's him. I don't need him," Tomoyo said disdainfully. Through his sunglasses, you could see the eyes rolling up to the sky behind him. His temperament was very precise. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 836 Show Off Wealth. Pay attention. This man's name is Zyroshui. Under Dazuang's instigation, Zyroshui was very tempted by the substitute training thing, but he still had doubts. "Don't worry, as long as you pay the Pokémon, we will definitely train it to be obedient." "My sloking of Gala cost a lot of money. You won't punish him to death, right?" "Don't worry at all. At most, the upper limit may be affected. However, simply training to level 100 will not be affected at all, and it will be more efficient." "But how do I know if you are just liars? This transmission network is not official, right?" "Of course you can't use the official one, but the conquest status will not change, and it is paid in installments. If you still can't believe it, there is nothing we can do. Obviously, it is impossible for Dazuang to take the initiative to invite Zyroshui as a guest. Where is your breeding ground?" Eminem had no choice but to ask. "Confidential." Dazuang replied matter-of-factly. "Do you have a trained sloking of Gala? I'll give you this number." Eminem didn't ask further, but showed off his generosity. "I'm willing to buy a Gala sloking at 3 times the price of a normal breeding house adoption." Obviously, Zyroshui's performance is still within the cautious range, or he can't trust the sudden appearance of the black breeding house. It's no wonder that most customers introduce each other more, so it is not easy to win trust if they come directly to the door. To people. It is true that there is no trained Gala sloking in the breeding house, but Zyroshui's bid made Dazuang very excited, and he believed that he was a big customer. You can tell from his appearance that if the cooperation is successful once, he will definitely rely more on substitute training in the future. if such a big fat sheep is let go easily? No, but before Dazuang finished speaking, Xiao Shui showed an impatient expression point, as if to say he is indeed a liar. Wait a moment. Dazuang said, took out the contact device, and mysteriously came to the side, as if he wanted to contact someone. At this time, Xiao Shui frowned and said to Xiaomi beside him, there is no signal around here. He also took out the illustrated book, and looked at it. It seems that their breeding ground should be nearby. Xiaomi also guessed this. There is no need for signal towers or satellites. Direct wireless communication. Obviously the distance is not too far. When Dazuang came back, Xiao Shui asked directly, hey, you don't mean to say that the breeding ground is nearby, right? That's right. So it's fate. Otherwise, the difficulty of training a Pokémon with ideas, like Slowking would be TSK. At this time, Dazuang said, you are so lucky. Xiao Shui suddenly seemed to have his tail stepped on, and jumped up and said, what is the difficulty of training? Do you really think I can't train? I tell you, yes, you can train it, but this Slowking is particularly disobedient. Haha, don't worry, although we don't have a well-trained Slowking, if you are willing to give it to us for a few months, I guarantee that future training will be more effective with less effort. At this time, Dazuang comforted him with some yin and yang. I haven't said that I will hand it over to you suspicious guys. Xiao Shui emphasized. I have just contacted our acting trainer. Mr. Xiao Shui and Miss Xiaomi can come and take a look first. Dazuang said in a concession at this time. Oh, then you can go and have a look. After hearing this, Eminem calmly agreed. This should be just Dazuang, an ordinary substitute trainer who leads the way for Xiao Shui and Xiaomi. After asking for instructions from the person who really makes the decision. This way, it's the reverse flow of the mountain stream, and it's the straight up and down rock climbing. If there were no motor lizards, probably only flying Pokémon could take them to their destination. Seeing this breeding ground in the mountains, Eminem was also a little surprised. No wonder Miwako and the others found the target with such difficulty. It's indeed hidden enough, and very small. It was smaller than Eminem imagined. The flat training ground was less than half the size of a basketball court. There was not a single Pokémon outside at this time. Judging from the size of the building, it didn't seem to be very large. Your business doesn't look good, either, Eminem said with an annoying tone. Half mockingly. Dazuang turned his head and glanced at him, and then said somewhat evilly, after all, the training ground is not the key, is it? After Dazuang brought Xiaomi and Xiao Shui in, he saw a bald man with a sinister face who didn't look like a breeder came out to greet them. Welcome, Mr. Xiao Shui and Mr. Xiaomi, right? I'm the acting trainer of the cuttlefish breeding house. You can call me RBO. The fierce look of the bald acting trainer revealed his enthusiasm. And on the small signboard of the breeding house, there is indeed a Pokémon. That seems to be the Squid King painted on it. I don't know if it is his trump card. But this Squid King symbol, I don't know why, but it gave Eminem an uncomfortable feeling, as if it was really staring at him. Your scale doesn't look big, Eminem said critically at this time. Indeed, judging from the location, the scale of this training house is not big. No, our homie Arwana has a more advanced cultivation concept, so he doesn't need a large space. Abayo said matter-of-factly. But Eminem didn't quite understand it. Can cultivating concepts also affect space? Oh, seeing Xiao Shui's cold reaction, Abayo took the initiative and said, many of our customers are elites like Mr. Xiao Shui who have been limited by the so-called bond of Pokémon, so we cannot leak other customers' information. But if you become our member and reach a certain number of years, you can be invited to participate in some fun exchange meetings. If you are interested, Abayo said it very artistically, but of course Eminem understood it. The upper limit is limited by the so-called bond of Pokémon. This means that some guys who think highly of themselves think that the reason why they are not successful enough is because they do not have enough bonds with Pokémon and do not have a strong partner to show off their skills. After all, in this world, even if you are not a professional trainer, most industries also need Pokémon partners as for why the bond is not enough, or why it is impossible to conquer and train stronger Pokémon. Of course it's because of Pokémon exchange. Meeting? What's their level? Xiaoshui looked arrogant. Haha, although I can't tell you the identities of other members, I can ask you to visit some of the Pokémon we are training on behalf of. By the way, maybe you will see them again somewhere in the future. Please be sure to keep this secret. You should understand. Abayo said, taking Amu into a small building. Soon, Eminem understood why the advanced cultivation concept can save space. In the building, there are small cages everywhere, and they are stacked several levels. Depending on the shape and size of the Pokémon inside, they are basically just enough to curl up and lie down. Therefore, there are far more Pokémon than Eminem imagined, from basic starfish and eggs to rare Larulus and sun elves. Eminem even saw Mybulim, which is not available in Xianguan continent. The most popular ones are the superpower type, followed by the fighting type. Indeed, these are the two more difficult types that are still being cultivated. The super type generally has more ideas, and the fighting type usually requires a trainer who can also fight. There are also some from other departments, but the same point is that they are all a bit sluggish at this time. Chapter 837 Cultivation Scene. Creek. When Tomoyo saw this scene, his anger was somewhat uncontrollable. As a qualified eldest lady, Tomoyo rarely couldn't control his emotions. The last time he broke the defense was when he and Eminem exchanged bodies. Abayo seemed to have noticed something at this time and turned around to look over. Brother, I want this. Zioai suddenly said. Eminem immediately asked knowingly, Sunny V, didn't you still want Moony V before? No, I want this. Uncle, are you good at raising Pokémon? I have an EV, and my brother is helping me to carry it. I will train it for you, and you will help me train it into a Sunny V. Is Boo okay? You have to be very obedient. Zioai went over and asked Abayo in an innocent tone. Seeing Zioai's innocent and expectant eyes, Abayo trembled unconsciously. Normally, when a child sees the listless Pokémon here, although it is not a training site, there shouldn't be any expectations, right? Abayo brought them here to visit, which was actually a bit of a show of force. After all, being able to do such a big thing proves that the energy behind them is not small. If nothing else, these potential customers are a strong deterrent. At the same time, you can also observe the reactions of these two people. Originally, small sadness was not within the scope of his observation point, but now Zioai's performance makes Abayo understand. This little girl, there must be scum around. Hey, why don't you just buy a Sunny V? Eminem said impatiently at this time. Generally speaking, both Sunny V and Moony V require the sublimation of emotional power. If they are cultivated artificially, they need to have a good relationship with the Pokémon to achieve it. However, there are also some crooked ways. We have to turn little Buai into Sunny V. How long will it take, Uncle? Zioai continued to ask Abayo in an innocent tone. At this time, Tomoyo also took the opportunity to adjust his mood. It seems that you are not very good at ghost and fairy types here, Tomoyo said with a hint of disappointment in his mockery. This disappointment is genuine. I originally wanted to find an opportunity to include Ghost Stone and Pippi too. It is safer to act this way. Well, after all, it's too easy for the ghost type to escape, so you can try the fairy type. Abayo didn't deny it. Why? Don't you have any energy? Is there any problem? Amu patted a cage holding Larulus and then asked suspiciously, when we have preliminary results, we will stop taking the medicine. Even if there are some minor problems later, it will only make it easier for you to train. Abayo also hinted that there may be some irreversible consequences, but it's not a big problem. At most a little stunt. For trainers seeking this type of training, it is a good thing. My Gallus Loking has the attribute of strange medicine. Eminem emphasized it after hearing that it was medicine. Don't worry, we have also taken over the Slowking of Gala before. As long as it does not exceed level 50, there will be no problem. Abayo said righteously. At this moment, faint screams and the sound of electricity came from the room area further back. Huh. This is. Amu frowned at this time. There is a special training area behind, so don't go and see it, otherwise it won't be safe for you. We will return the Pokémon to you safely, right? Abayo instinctively blocked Eminem's sight at this time. Even though there was a wall, nothing could be seen. Safe. So it's very safe here. Abayo could tell that the tone of Xiao meant that his heart was already moved. Of course, we are professionals and have great professional ethics. Even if something happens, you don't know anything. It's just our own decision, isn't it? Abayo hinted at this time. At this time, the door inside just opened, and a man in a white coat with a pale face and an expressionless face came out, followed by an electric shock beast, which should be his Pokémon. Seeing Xiao looking over, Abayo quickly introduced, "This is the owner of our breeding house, Mr. Ashin, who is qualified as an expert breeder." Ashin looked at Amu and his group. "They are the customers who came to visit today." Abayo explained carefully. Hearing that he was a customer, Ashin didn't say much. He just nodded and said, "Well, don't go where you shouldn't go." And just after Ashin left, Eminem saw Dazuan, whom he had seen before, with a strange power escorting back a flaming monkey with traces of electric burns on his body. Flame Monkey is a typical Pokémon with a hot temper, but at this time it has no physical strength and has a stubborn look in its eyes. Now it is more numb and confused. Abayo also introduced to Eminem at this time, "You should also know that Pokémon like Blaze Monkey is the most difficult to deal with, but now this one's therapeutic training is almost successful. In a month or two, he can be reunited with his trainer, and training will be much easier than before." Eminem nodded when he saw this, but still said, "I'm still not sure about the medication. Just give it to my Gallus King today and use the medicine. I'll observe it when I have a rest at night. It's fine. If so, we will sign the contract tomorrow. I'm a professional pharmacist. You can't fool me in this regard. I have said before that Eminem and others will stay here tonight. After all, there is no village in front of it and no store in the back. If Xiao and others leave, they can only camp nearby. And my EV, make sure to train it well too." Xiao rushed to say at this time, "I know." Although Eminem had no patience, he still curled his lips and agreed. Whether it's Gallus King or Eevee evolving into Sun Eevee, this is much more difficult than ordinary Pokémon training, so Abayo hinted at the cost. "That's not a problem," Eminem said, brushing off his bangs. He looked like a handsome rich second generation with corrupt morals. So tonight, Xiao and Xiaomi took their sister to stay temporarily in this black breeding house. Because he was worried about being alerted by the Polygon Beast, Eminem did not contact the outside world. He only studied the medicine used on the little master alone at night. When Eminem came, he brought a lot of pharmacy equipment, but they were all brand new. Xiao's character is that of a rich second generation amateur pharmacist with great ambitions but little talent, so it makes sense to bring pharmaceutical equipment, and brand new is more in line with the character. Eminem is going to decipher this potion overnight, and then prepare the antidote for the little boss in advance. Then he can at least save himself and have room to move. If the characteristics of strange potion can be used, it will also provide other Pokémon with it. Would be better to remove the effect of the medicine. Chapter 838 Preparation for Action. What's wrong? Xiao's face suddenly changed when she saw Amu, who was studying. At this time, Eminem solemnly uttered one word, UP01, parasite. When Xiao heard this, his expression became condensed. The ultimate alien beast. You can't be wrong. Although the content is very small and the method of use is very hidden, it does exist. During the Chinese New Year, I saw these substances at Grandma Leix's house. Eminem said with certainty. Originally, Eminem didn't know about ultimate beast materials. After all, such things are strictly controlled in Xianguan continent, and Grandma Leixi had never mentioned it to him before. However, because she was already involved in an incident related to the smuggling of ultra-alien beast materials, during the previous Chinese New Year, Grandma Leixi showed Eminem some samples of ultra-alien beast materials and information. Generally speaking, ultimate exotic beast materials are naturally taboo in Xianguan continent, otherwise Eminem would not have studied with Grandma Leixi for 4 years. Even with the level of an expert pharmacist, he has never seen it once. As for Grandma Leixi, of course there are legal channels. After all, Granny Leixi is one of the few master pharmacists in Chyanguan continent. When the Alliance officials need potions with ultimate beast materials, they also turn to master pharmacists. Therefore, for Eminem, the medicinal properties of these materials have long been engraved in his mind point, especially after being promoted to potion professor. Even if it is the ultimate beast material that has not been seen directly and is only used to understand the medicinal properties, Eminem can distinguish it from the trace edition. I didn't expect that this black breeding house would have unexpected gains. ZioAI smiled at this time point considering that this is the Johto area. It is likely to be involved in the big case in Enju City point. But then ZioAI still asked slightly worriedly, can it be done in one night? Do you need help? Although everyone's majors are different, ZioAI is also a researcher after all, so it's okay to start off. After all, what Eminem wants to do now is not to refine the potion, but to crack the formula of the potion, so that he can refine it in reverse. Antidote, of course. Who do you think I am? Eminem said, brushing his bangs. Seeing this, ZioAI couldn't help curling his lips and said, what if there are other mental control methods? Have you thought of a way? ZioAI also reminded Eminem before applying the experience of the dark organization, it is likely that not only medication, but also mind control methods, such as hypnosis. The name Squid King Breeding House makes people think that this is very possible. Squid King is famous for his ability to hypnotize other Pokémon or humans at the same time. Squid King is also one of the rare dangerous Pokémon. In the previous Celebi sculpture incident, the boss of the tourist group died in the hands of his own Squid King. Eminem even suspected that the Squid King knew that what he saw at that time was a substitute. At least after the hit, he should have known it, but because he had a bad relationship with the trainer, he made mistakes. Squid King and Metagross are both truly dangerous Pokémon, and such Pokémon will not be accepted here. Of course, the general Squid King is not so strong, nor can it be so precise. At most, it can control people's travels in places where the Squid King lives. Sometimes there will be the traveler suddenly loses a memory, and the place where he is huge. An example of change is that the Squid King doesn't want you to get close to him. Well, I'm going to use this, Amu said, taking out a medicine bottle with odds written on it in hand. This is different from the sleep state caused by ordinary hypnosis, and the Lingayu glow potion may not be symptomatic. ZioAI reminded, how can other people's spare potions compare with mine? Amu said confidently. The reason why I'm confident is not only because the quality of Eminem's medicine is guaranteed, but also because this is the potion that Eminem tried many times before he was promoted to poison professor, before he was blinded to it. Its special effect is immune to mind control for 12 hours, but the side effect is after 12 hours. It will sleep for 12 hours continuously. When the potion was refined, Eminem didn't expect it to be used under any circumstances, but now it's just right. One night, Eminem successfully deciphered and developed the so-called antidote. After trying to detoxify the little master, he used the simulated medicine again to restore it to a controlled state. Then it stores a large amount of detoxifying substances in its body. When the poisoning is under control, it will only weaken the mood, greatly weaken the physical strength, intensify the pain, and easily lead to dependence, but not completely lose consciousness after that. The little master only needs to activate strange medicine to detoxify himself and spread the excess antidote ingredients into the air, affecting the surrounding Pokémon. If it were during a game, this would actually be illegal, equivalent to Eminem's potion. Just let him carry it in a concealed manner. It's no different than drinking banned drugs before going on the field. The proper way to use it is not to give it the medicine directly, but to teach it how to use the material reaction in the body to generate the medicine on its own point. But it's not a competition now, so there's no inspection in that regard. Even if it is discovered, the people in the breeding house will not find it strange, because early the next morning, ZioAI said to Abayo seriously, well, the effect of your medicine is very stable. Even my attempt to remove the properties of the medicine failed. After Hearing this, Abayo felt disapproving, but he still boasted about his own medicine, as if Zyoshui was not too amateurish, but thanks to the strong potion from the breeding house point, even if they discover something later, Eminem's pharmacist skills are not something they can see through. Then Zyoshui kept Gallus looking, and Ibrahimovic paid the fee. Zyomui looked disdainful, but, in fact, she had quietly signed a contract last night and kept Picossi. Well, the two of them can't transfer Pokémon together, otherwise they will be discovered. The Pokémon balls that Zyomui and Zyoshui took out are bound to the same trainer, and when Tomoyo was transmitting Pokémon last night, it was actually Amu who was invisible, and operating point today Zyoshui officially signed a contract with Abayo. In addition to the high cost, it also stipulates that it is strictly forbidden to disclose the information here, even if they verify the fake illustrated book provided by Junsha. They will only find that there is indeed someone, so there is no doubt. Then, we are happy to cooperate. Abayo stretched out his hand and shook Zyoshua's hand. Seeing the disgusted look on Zyoshua's face after shaking hands, Abayo was unhappy, but he didn't care too much. After that, Abayo saw Zyoshui and Zyomui go back to pack their bags, but he didn't know Eminem then used the invisibility spell to follow him while hiding his whereabouts. The contract should be received in the archives, and there are likely to be lists and information of other customers. This is Eminem's goal, to pull all these people out and expose them to the sun. This operation can be considered a complete success. At the same time, Miwako and others are also ready for action. The appointment time is today, which is 12 noon today. These guys in the black breeding house have guilty consciences. At night, their defenses will be even tighter. The young master and BUI had already been sent to the nurturing room of corresponding sizes. One looked dull, as if he had turned back into a slowpoke, and the other was weak, and looked very stressed. Chapter 839 Breaking in by Force. Eminem user, invisibility spell, at this time, and followed Abayo who was holding the contract. Fortunately, Abayo was not too cautious and let the self-rebound door close on its own, giving Amu time to catch up. Fortunately, after Amu was promoted to Potion Professor, not only his strength, but also his ability to control his body also improved. The surge followed closely at this time, and nothing was noticed. Soon Abayo passed by the breeding area full of cages, and came to the inner area at the back where Amu had never been. If the Pokémon in the breeding area weren't all depressed, in fact, many of them would be able to detect it at this distance. Eminem's passing by. Then, Eminem saw through the glass wall in the corridor that in the special training room, a flame monkey was fixed on a special seat, and the two tails of the electric shock monster were wrapped around its head. Spirit Temple. At this time, the flame monkey was full of electric light, with various wires plugged into it, connected to seemingly sophisticated equipment, and the owner of the house was also inside, seemingly collecting parameters. Abayo passed by here at this time, and reached a coded door at the end. When Eminem saw the exaggerated appearance of this door, he felt a headache. It was obvious that one could sneak in without relying on physical fitness. Just like a vault door, Abayo entered the password first, and Eminem also came closer, deciding to write down the password first, and then see if there was a chance. However, then I saw Abayo release another Gyarados. This should be his trump card. Upon seeing this, Eminem quickly hid back to avoid being hit by Gyarados. At the same time, Abayo revealed the Mega Stone on his wrist, and then activated the Mega Evolution of Gyarados. The second verification turned out to be the iris of Mega Gyarados. It would be useless, even if others knew the password. At this time, Eminem also used the effect of Dragon Ancestor, and tried it briefly. Raw. Seeing the murderer size of Mega Gyarados, he immediately turned his head and glanced back, and growled lowly. Eminem quickly dared not move anymore. Huh? What's wrong? Abayo looked at his partner, and couldn't help but wonder. Ashin, who was in the special training room, seemed to hear something at this time. He opened the door, and looked towards the corridor, frowning and saying, "What happened?" "It's nothing." Abayan may be a little tired, Abayo immediately said with a smile point. Although the acting trainer is considered the second in command here, the owner is still very authoritative. Eminem had never thought before that there was actually someone with official training qualifications here. There was no internet, and Eminem didn't know the specific information, but it didn't look like he was bragging at this time. The door to the archives room had been opened, and many thoughts flashed through Eminem's heart. Give up first, and wait for the opportunity, or take the risk, and continue to follow. In an instant, Eminem gave up the latter idea, because at this time, Abayo patted Megagyarados, and the latter stayed where it was. It seems that when entering the archives, this Megagyarados will be guarding the door. There is no space for Eminem to pass. If he comes into contact, he will be discovered immediately. At the same time, Eminem also gave up the previous idea. If you want to go in later, it will only be more troublesome. Abayo's Megagyarados cannot be commanded with Dragon Ancestor. If you force it, at most it will only make it stay put and not attack Eminem. At the moment, when he figured this out, Eminem decided to take a risk. As soon as Abayo stepped into the most important archives room, the Megagyarados at the door suddenly froze. Something was obviously wrong. Ashen had already realized something, but before he had time to think about it, he saw that beside the huge Megagyarados, the space was a little distorted. In the gap between the body and the wall, it was Eminem who squeezed through here. Because there was physical contact, some clues of invisibility were revealed. Close the door. Ashen shouted immediately. However, Abayo hadn't reacted yet, so he just turned around blankly. The next moment, Abayo's chin tilted. At the same time, Eminem also emerged from the invisibility state due to his strong interaction with the outside world. After Eminem came in, he immediately threw a right hook. Although he doesn't have any karate skills, Eminem's strength is definitely professional level. He heard a gabba sound from close range, and Eminem's reaction was quick after that, and he immediately took another step forward, grabbed the collar, stopped him from falling back, and at the same time, reached for his belt. Zilla. Eminem ripped off his belt bag, and threw it aside. This fanny pack is naturally a fanny pack for Pokeballs, and there are 5 Pokeballs in it, that haven't released any Pokémon. Raw Megagyarados was struggling. But, the most it could do, was disobey orders and stay put, and it was already trying its best. At this time, Ashen immediately called out the electric shock monster, and released the other 2 Pokémon he carried with him, Electric Spider and Thunder Beast. However, the narrow entrance was completely blocked by the standing still Megagyarados. Even Eminem had just squeezed in, and naturally the 3 Pokémon couldn't even squeeze in. Come in. Ashen ordered directly. Raw Megagyarados was suddenly shocked and screamed. At the same time, Megagyarados suddenly struggled and used waterfall climbing, with water power wrapped around his body, and crashed into the other 3 Ashen's electric Pokémon. Well, originally it was just forced to stay in place by the power of Dragon Ancestor. But it did not obey the order and rebel. But now 3 electric Pokémon actually attacked it together. Suddenly, with the help of anger, fighting back became an act that is both in compliance with the order and in line with one's heart. Idiot, don't move. Abayo saw this and stopped him quickly. He was still a little slurred and couldn't open his mouth. The punch from Eminem just now was not something that could be ignored after a short break. However, the strength of Megagyarados is obviously not as good as the 3 electric Pokémon. According to Amu's visual inspection, after Mega Evolution, Gyarados is only okay in the King level, while the 3 electric Pokémon Camu, especially the electric shock monster, is a very strong King of Heaven. Without some strength, he would not dare to do such a thing. Coupled with the fact that its attributes were restrained, and Abayo ended its Mega Evolution, Gyarados only resisted for a few seconds before being electrocuted and screaming. At the same time, Eminem saw the owner Ashen running back to the special training room. The next moment, Eminem reacted and quickly threw the USB flash drive out of his pocket. Noah, control the system here. Eminem also saw that in addition to rows of cabinets in the archives, there were also large computers, which may have stored a lot of information. He speculated that Ashen might want to destroy evidence remotely, so he immediately stopped it. Looking at the 3 electric Pokémon rushing in outside the door, Eminem also added, close the door first. Chapter 840 Threat. Abeo's Gyarados was thrown away like a rag at this time, but the door of the data room that looked like a vault was already closed. This also symbolized that Noah was now in complete control of the system here in the data room. Abeo first wanted to pick up his pocket, but was naturally blocked by Eminem. "You bastard." Abeo gritted his teeth. He still didn't know that he had been deceived. Just by looking at his physique, we can tell that Abeo has seriously practiced fighting skills, but unfortunately, his skills were not enough to make up for the gap in physical attributes between himself and Eminem. So the master was beaten to death by random punches after rushing towards Eminem, although he relied on his skills to avoid Eminem's fists at first. Bang Bang punched Eminem twice, but it only hurt Eminem, and he was quickly beaten by Eminem. He was punched hard, and he was lifted in front of him. After a few punches, he could feel that his strength was obviously weak. It can be said that there is a sound of bone cracking with every punch. At the same time, Eminem did not forget to complain to Leocan in his consciousness. Hey, after fighting for so long, you didn't even add a shield to me. Actual combat pain is very important. Leoka seemed to think that after Eminem's body strengthened, he could practice some actual combat. At this time, Eminem didn't have time to explain to it that the bond with you is also part of my strength, so he just punched the guy in front of him a few times. Abeo, who had a bruised nose and swollen face, was obviously a little frightened at this time and realized the gap between the two. The little handsome man who doesn't look very strong has such terrible physical fitness. After all, Eminem's physical fitness mainly comes from the Poison Professor Moon pathway physical fitness, which basically does not affect the figure. There are no obvious muscles on Eminem's body, and he is not very tall. Completely different from world-class karate masters. Looking at the other Pokeballs at his feet, Abeo, although timid, still threatened in an evil manner. Your sister and that Xiaomi can't escape. So, guess why I hit you with my fist? Eminem asked back at this time. Abeo? Of course Abeo didn't understand, because he doesn't know the identity of Little Handsome yet, let alone knows that the person in front of him has just handed over the lightning bird ball to his sister for safety reasons. Eminem did not take Zio-Shan with him, but stayed with Zio AI. Otherwise, why bother closing the door? As for Eminem's safety, isn't there still a bond with Leocat? What do you want to do? Are you trying to be a hero? The Pokémon sent here were sent by their trainers, and they were not stolen by us. Abeo said angrily. Eminem looked at the time at this moment. It was only 11 o'clock. There is still an hour until 12 o'clock. But, at this time, Eminem used Dr. Agasa's communication device to remotely contact Miwako, who was not far away. It is true that there is a polygon here. It is in the system, but it was suppressed by Noah. But now Eminem doesn't have to worry about whether the signal will be discovered. After all, this is already a head-on conflict. Go on. When Junsha and the Rangers come, you can tell them to. Amu responded coldly. Hearing that Junsha was coming, Abeo instinctively wondered if he believed it. There was no signal here. How could you report to Junsha, still using wireless communication? This thing must be not far away. But then I thought about it. This little handsome man hid his identity from the beginning and pretended to be a pig to eat the tiger. Indeed, he looked like he was undercover. In other words, Junsha was coming soon. Abeo quickly looked at the files around him and then rushed towards the computer operating platform. Noah also discovered at this time that the reason why the computer here is so big is because it not only contains the information of Pokémon trained on behalf of others, the identity information of customer trainers, but also a large number of experimental data collected during special training data of. Eminem told it to give priority to downloading the identity information of the client's trainer and things that could be considered evidence. Of course, Eminem couldn't let Abeo go and cause trouble. His movements were too slow in Eminem's opinion, so he pulled him back and gave him another elbow to the chest. Unexpectedly, at this moment, Abeo suddenly took out something the size of a flashlight with a red ball on the top from his arms and placed it directly on Eminem's waist. Kneel down. Ha ha ha, hiccup. I saw the electric light flashing continuously on Eminem, but if you look carefully, it only flashes around Eminem, and Eminem is not moved at all. Abeo's proud laughter suddenly subsides. Electric bat made from the tailbone of an electric dragon? Very good. Amu said and grabbed it with his hand point. After grabbing it with his bare hands, he pressed it against Abeo. At this time, Leo can naturally put the shield on Eminem immediately, and the electric shocks were completely blocked. Point at this time, Abeo was also stabbed back by the electric baton from Eminem, causing him to convulse and fall to the ground. Point of course, even if he touches the computer, it will be of no use. Because, now it's Noah who controls the system. Give up. Part of the information has been downloaded now. Even if you destroy the evidence, it will only allow some of your clients to escape guilt. But you can't escape at all. The downloaded part is enough to convict you. Eminem, the cold voice, broke his illusion. Point at this time, there were also bursts of pounding sounds from outside. If it was just an ordinary brick wall, this place would have collapsed long ago. Because of the strongest defense in the breeding house and the thick iron sheet, it was not broken into immediately. Come in. Point. Abeo struggled and threatened at this time. Do you know what you are doing? If this information is leaked, those people will be enough to kill you 10,000 times. Oh, just some rubbish trainers. Eminem said nonchalantly. Garbage? They are indeed garbage. But you also know our fees. Have you never thought that the people who can afford this money will be ordinary garbage? And, do you know how many of these are here? Raising people. Abeo became more and more excited as he talked, as if he had the upper hand. Eminem couldn't stand it, so he shocked him again. This electric dragon electric baton should have been improved. The voltage is obviously not low, but it does not kill anyone, or even stuns people. If you give these to Junsha, even if Junsha keeps it secret, they will definitely know your identity. Abeo threatened again. So, does Sakaki know? Eminem asked disdainfully. Are you from Team Rocket? Abeo was stunned when he heard this. No, let's talk about the underworld with me. Sakaki is so much better than you. I slapped him hard, and he didn't dare to fight back. He's just a useless trainer. How do you know it's me? He drew pictures behind his back, curse me in circles, or anonymously send dirty words to my forum account. Junsha helps me keep my identity secret, and they can know it? Are you leaving me here to show my hands and eyes to the sky? You really thought of me? Then even if Junsha tries these people secretly, I will personally release their information. Eminem said disdainfully. At this moment, the unusually thick door that should have been filled with Pokémon materials was finally knocked down. At this time, in addition to Ashin and his 3 previous Pokémon, there were many other Pokémon outside. Pokémon, this is not surprising. This is his home base. In addition to the ones he carries with him, his other Pokémon must also be there, and they can be summoned immediately. Ashin heard Eminem's last words. Then, it seems that we really can't let you and that Polygon get out alive. Chapter 841 Rescue. Beep, 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 beep. In the squid breeding house, the alarm sounded loudly. Dazuang and 2 other substitute trainers began to urgently organize Pokémon teleportation. Quick! Those who can be teleported are teleported back, and those who cannot be teleported are destroyed urgently. No one can be left here. At the same time, the little master noticed the opportunity. The ruby on the shell above his head flashed, and his tired expression soon faded away. Thini saw several bulges on its shell crown. At this time, small holes were exposed, and smoke filled the air from inside. The Pokémon that I smelled and came into contact with around me gradually recovered a little, especially their eyes, which began to change significantly. Little Bui, who was not far from Little Boss, had already stood up. Little Boss also blew smoke towards it, so that it could completely detoxify. What? Be careful of Zyoshui and Zyoma's Pokémon? Dazuang had just learned the warning from Ashin's house owner through the communicator. Just turn your head. I found that the Slowking of Gala still looked depressed, but the cage where Eevee was located was empty. Damn it. Dazuang complained angrily and quickly stepped forward to check. Sure enough, there was nothing in the dark small cage. Dazuang checked the keyhole and found that it was intact. He didn't understand how the Eevee got out. Damn. Zuang, why are you being lazy? Hurry up. Another substitute trainer urged, No. Be careful, an EV seems to have escaped. Dazuang said angrily. When the other two heard this, they also cursed a few times at this moment. Dazuang suddenly saw that there seemed to be some mark in the corner, so after being puzzled, he opened the cage and reached out to touch it. And at this moment, I saw blurry textures in the dark corner, and suddenly there was a flash of light, and at the same time, two scholar eyes opened out of thin air. Moon EV is said to be a Pokémon that evolved under the influence of the fluctuations of the moon, a nocturnal Pokémon. It is active in the middle of the night when the moonlight shines on the earth. It has black body hair, and can blend into the darkness, and can always lurk in the darkness, wait for prey, and observe the opponent. The big eyes can firmly capture the prey even in the dark. At this time, in the cage, there is a moon EV, curled up, hiding the golden patterns on its body, melting itself into the darkness, waiting for the moment when the prey comes. This is also the instinct of Moon EV. After Dazuang opened the cage, the golden lines on Moon EV shone instantly, and at the same time he opened his red eyes and pounced towards Dazuang's face. Dazuang screamed. The other two people quickly looked over and saw a black figure leaping away from Dazuang's face, and Dazuang, he covered his eyes with both hands, but blood still poured out from his fingers. Danklang Moon EV then used its two pairs of front paws to touch the iron cage on the side, and then use the force to jump. Suddenly the cage was kicked into twists and bends, and a gap in the fence became much larger. And the young master inside walked out directly. If you look carefully, you will find that Moon EV has left two clear footprints on the cage. Clear footprints made of blood. When Eminem first met Little Bui, that is, when he was in the Dark Organization, he could temporarily evolve into Fire EV, Water EV, Leap, and E4 forms. ICV is about to take shape. Later, after being rescued by Eminem, not long after arriving in the city, he awakened the evolved form of ICV. After Eminem became the potion professor, Little Bui also mastered the evolved form of Moon EV under Eminem's guidance. As Zio AI said, in this situation, Zio Bui recalled some of his experiences in the Dark Organization. Although his memories of that time were also vague, there were still some vague memories. Impression. What it is saving at this moment is also its former self, and what it is attacking is also its former enemy. Little Bui, who is over 60 years old, does not have much fighting power as an EV, but once he shows his evolved form, he has a racial value of 525, and still maintains the characteristic of adaptability, adding an additional evolved characteristic. The fighting ability is called Little King. And at this time, Moon EV did not directly fight head-on. After sneak attacking Dazuang, he immediately began to destroy the cages of other Pokémon. The absolute strength of these cages is far from being able to withstand king level attacks, especially damage from the outside, even 1 or 2 levels lower. The main reason why these Pokémon can be imprisoned is because they are all restricted by potions, so they are honestly imprisoned. At this time, Bui and the young master showed no interest in fighting. One kept stepping on and destroying other cages, while the other, with a wise look, swaggered along with Bui's destruction process. Smoke-like potions are constantly coming out of the latter's crown, alleviating the restrictive symptoms of the surrounding Pokémon. As for Dazuang and the other two substitute trainers Pokémon, they did want to stop them, but they were directly stopped by the angry Pokémon who had regained some energy. Although in direct battle, their Pokémon are stronger than these customer Pokémon who generally have low growth rates, especially those released. The signs of poisoning are only reduced, not without any impact. But the difference in quantity is too big, constantly being blocked by Pokémon rushing out of the surrounding cages. They had no time to chase Moon EV and Gallosloking, who were constantly destroying cages and detoxifying, and gradually fell into a human sea battle. Just strike hard. It's too late to teleport anyway, a substitute trainer said harshly. Those who can be here are originally cruel and ruthless people. You crazy? There are only a few that cannot be sent away temporarily and can be destroyed. Do you have time to destroy so many of them now? Another substitute trainer quickly stopped. If there is no time to destroy and just kill, some incriminating evidence can indeed be hidden, but the parts that are discovered are enough to put them in jail. Although there are Pokémon constantly falling out of battle and fainting during attacks, they are not released as fast. At this moment, a huge explosion came from the direction of the archives room, and the whole building shook, scowled at. This time, Zio Shen, with Tomoyo and Zio AI, had just broken through to the teleportation device. After destroying the teleportation device and getting rid of the two substitute trainers here, he quickly flew towards the place where the explosion came from with Tomoyo. Chapter 842 The Real Secret. Then it seems that we really can't let you and that Polygon get out alive. Ashin rushed into the archives room at this time, followed by many electric Pokémon. At this moment, a trembling salamander flashed out and stretched out its hands towards where the computer was. Suddenly the sound of electric current turned into a muffled sound and was transmitted over trilling salamander, a deep purple humanoid salamander Pokémon, with lightning blooming on its head, spine-like protrusions on its wrists, waist, and back, and 6 strings on its chest. When using electric abilities, the sound of electricity is like various rock music instrument, and is born with a strong sense of rhythm. The trembling salamander in front of him is not only in a low-key form, and the electric light on its body is blue, but its sound is also completely unlike the sound of the ordinary trembling salamander when it uses breaking sound, not to mention rock and rhythm. It's just low noise. His eyes look dull, and he no longer had the demeanor of a natural rock musician. However, the power should not be underestimated, and the current spread immediately. Noah is invincible in software and systems, as long as he does not encounter the level of intelligence of Noah's Ark. No amount of ordinary polygons can take back control from it. But unlike Rotom, Noah is the same as an ordinary polygon, only at the software level, without any enhancements to the hardware. If the computer itself was destroyed, there was nothing Noah could do. However, just before the current was about to sweep through the computer, I saw Eminem directly opened his arms to block the front, and all the attack currents disappeared out of thin air when they spread to Eminem's body. Eminem continues to fight for time. At least all the customer information must be downloaded. This is not just a name, but also includes the backup of the contract, including the status of the Pokémon they foster. Many people tacitly use false identities, just like Zayashui just uses the name Zayashui, and there is no content related to the identity in the contract. After all, those customers are not rushing to hand over the clues. If they want to prove it, they need a comprehensive combination of information as evidence. On the one hand, it is related to punishment. On the other hand, it is also related to the rescue of Pokémon. Seeing that Amu actually blocked the attack with his body, Ashin also showed a confused look, but he still waved and ordered other Pokémon to come quickly. Among them, an electric dragon and a photoelectric umbrella lizard were pressed in place under the effect of Dragon Ancestor. In fact, you can tell by looking at their eyes that it is not so much because of Bond has not accepted the order yet. It is better to say that he has been trained for too long, and the fear of Ashen has resisted the order of Long Ancestor. As for the other 7 electric Pokémon, including Electric Monster, Electric Spider, Thunder Beast and Thrilling Salamander, Eminem can't restrict it. But, at this time, Eminem was equivalent to an invincible, level 40 or 50 fighting type Pokémon with no skills. He directly faced off against the Pokémon without showing any fear. Of course, he was not an opponent at all. The power is still too weak for Ashen's Pokémon, but Ashen's Pokémon's attack is also too weak for the shield of the old card set. The effects of an ordinary person with invincible power and a very weak combat power are completely different. After all, after Eminem activated invincibility before, he could only protect himself without any damage ability, so he could just leave it alone. But now, although in front of these powerful Pokémon, Eminem's power is still very weak. But at least with the ability to output, it cannot be completely ignored. Surrender. You have already lost. My Polygon has downloaded enough information for you to spend the rest of your life in prison. Now you continue to destroy evidence, but it will not have any effect. Eminem tried his best to absorb the damage while outputting from his mouth, but Ashin ignored him at this time. That's it, Noah. Give up the current database and look for the hidden data in the system. Actually, you have someone more important to protect, right? Do you even think that, as long as you keep those information, maybe those important people will help you exonerate yourself? Stop dreaming. Everything here doesn't need to be explained by Junsha. I will tell it. Even if Sakaki comes, I won't be able to cover it up. Who else will dare to take advantage of you then? Or do you try to silence me? I'll just stand here and let you beat me. Eminem also guessed something at this time and continued to mock Ashin. This time Ashin finally breaks the defense. A ferocious look gradually appeared on the originally calm and pale face. Damn it. How dare you? It's all you bastards. If it weren't for those bullshit regulations you made, you would be an obstacle to the evolution of human society. Ashin muttered. Obviously breaking the defense was not easy. However, Eminem was naturally unmoved by his curses at this moment. Noah's priority changed from mass downloading to deep digging. A more secret database was indeed discovered. In this world, Pokémon are the primary productive force. Generally speaking, if the mentality is too utilitarian, it will be more difficult to establish a bond with Pokémon. This, to a certain extent, acts as a safety valve for human society. However, in fields other than Pokémon, it is true that a utilitarian mentality will make it easier for people to control money and power. Originally, if there were flaws in the Pokémon bond, it would be restrictive. Their development can be regarded as self-correction of human society. But now it has been 200 years since the alliances were established, and it has been 100 years since taping. Although there is a cultural basis for downplaying surnames and inheritance systems, it is still inevitable that there will be second-generation ancestors who hold power. For example, even the Omiya family, which Eminem is familiar with and has many talented people, also has Omuai Wamatsu Quartz City Twin Towers incident. That kind of trash became a council member. This is where the squid breeding house industry can survive. Among these secret information, there is more than one. Damn you Yansang. After hearing Noah's message, Eminem immediately asked him to download this part of the information with all his strength. But at this moment, Eminem suddenly had a thought in his mind and added telepathically, wait a minute. Use 2/3 of the threads to download the copy, and leave another third to continue digging for more hidden databases. Eminem suddenly remembered the Squid King totem that had impressed him so deeply before, but so far, Eminem has not found out what the relationship between this breeding house and the Squid King is, so Eminem instinctively feels that there may be some more important secret hidden. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 843 cover. Get around him. What? This is, in the data room. Ashin originally wanted to command Pokémon to destroy the computer by force, but, at this time, Eminem not only punched and kicked, but also released numerous flames with a wave of his hand. It was a eternal flame. I saw golden flames, not only continuously pouring out, but also forming a ring of fire with Amu as the center, resisting those who wanted to attack from outside. Although it won't kill anyone, it will still hurt a lot, even twice as much, and at this time, the electric dragon and the photoelectric umbrella lizard, under the orders of Dragon Ancestor, began to sneakily uncontrollable thunder and lightning and launch attacks on other accomplices. Although they immediately restrained themselves when Ashin glared at them, they have indeed become more and more accepting of Dragon Ancestor's orders. At the same time, Amu also released spiritual fire, burning in the archives room, preventing Ashin's other Pokémon from bypassing him and destroying the computer. As for attacking Eminem, it is true that Eminem is the source of eternal flame. However, under the protection of Leocat, the attacks of these electric Pokémon seemed a little weak. Hidden file found. Format is being deciphered. Noah delivers the message again. Why are you still deciphering it? Amu was stunned when he heard this. In this database, the surface is a data of ordinary customers, but behind it is a data of important customers, even funders. After some digging, he found even deeper data, but it actually took so long to decipher it. What exactly is it? Unrecognizable signal found. Translated into visual recognition. Slim Shady? Why still use visual recognition? Isn't this his software system? Prior to this, Eminem continued to taunt Ashin, making him think that he had only found information about hidden customers and would not discover that Noah was about to discover more important secrets. But at this moment, the alarm suddenly sounded loudly in the computer in the archives room. Eminem was shocked when he heard the sound. It stands to reason that the system here has been completely controlled by Noah. How could it be? Damn. Self-destruct. Self-destruct. Ashin looked crazy at this time, completely losing his initial calmness. Veins were pulsing on his pale forehead, which was not what a normal person should be like. And in the next moment, Magneto's body shines with dazzling light. Eminem was also shocked when he saw this. He quickly called out to Leoka and reminded Noah, and at the same time, he threw himself backwards. The next moment, a violent explosion sounded, and even Eminem rolled out several times. It felt like he had been hit by a sledgehammer. The power of skills such as self-destruction and big explosion is completely different from the values in the game. After all, the price is also greater, and it will really take a long time to recover. Ordinarily, the dragon scale wall of light on Eminem's body is not an armor type defense, but a force field type defense. That is to say, if nothing can be done, Eminem will not be able to feel it. No matter how strong the force is, will be neutralized by the force field, rather than being pushed out and just not being hurt. Self-destruction. Magneto should be a big explosion, which directly slightly breaks Eminem's defense. Although it is only slightly. If it were Eminem before, he would definitely not feel comfortable after receiving this blow. But for Eminem now, wasn't it just that he was hit with a hammer? I can stand up, even if I rub my back. On the contrary, the other Pokémon on the other side, including Ashin himself, were all seriously injured and fell to the ground. Seeing Ashin lying covered in blood behind the electric shock monster, Eminem was suspicious. No, he was convinced there was no favorability damage reduction at all, and he relied entirely on the electric shock monster to help him resist damage. But he was still seriously injured by the blast. I don't know if he is still alive. Now, what Eminem is more concerned about is the computer was indeed destroyed, but Noah came out safely at this time. Noah, are you okay? Amu quickly asked with concern. The final deciphering was not completed. The download of the external database was completed, and the internal confidential database was downloaded 62.44%. Noah said regretfully, if you haven't discovered it, then you haven't discovered it. Eminem was also wondering at this moment what secret was so important in the end. The level of confidentiality at the software level is also quite high. Even Noah failed to intercept its alarm signal in time, which made Ashin decide to make a desperate move. At this time, Noah suddenly said to Eminem, I deciphered a little bit of the outsourcing pattern. Do you want to see it? Let me take a look. Upon hearing this, Eminem first looked at the Pokémon or people around him who were still awake, and then nodded. The next moment, after his consciousness connected with Noah, Eminem saw an encryption box, and the pattern on the outside of the box. It is a bit more complicated and detailed than the Squid King totem on the sign outside the breeding house. It looks like a Squid King with only 8 legs and 2 legs on both sides that have the same hair as the head and top. The long tentacles have no body shape. When Eminem first saw this scene in his mind, he was a little disappointed. This thing looks very weird. Eminem has known it before. If you just decipher this, it seems to be of little value. But at this time, I only heard Noah say, this is after deciphering the concealment above. I saw this pattern gradually changing, because the 8 legs of Squid King are on the top of the head, like hair. It is considered an inverted Pokémon. Its signature skill is indeed upside down, and in some places, its common name is also inverted upside down squid. At this time, this pattern was deduced by Noah, gradually turned back. The face of the originally ferocious Squid King gradually turned into a skeleton, along with the lines that were not noticed at first. The feet on the head also became more close to a tentacle. Look point the two longest hand-like tentacles now formed a circle and turned into an outer frame, and from being delicate and complex, it became vague and simple again, and then it became a medallion pattern with tentacles under the skull, which seemed to have some special meaning. What is this? Eminem was stunned for a moment. This is not a real secret. The confidential data is still in the box, but now that the hardware has been blown up all over the floor, Noah probably won't be able to restore it. I can't see what's really important inside. It's just a cover on the outside. It looks a little familiar. Let's ask Miwako later, Eminem said to himself. At this time, Xiao Feng also fell directly in from the roof that had been lifted. Wow. It was blown up so badly. Why didn't it kill you? A weak, stinky human being? TSK. After Xiao Shen saw that Amu was fine, he immediately started chirping. Well, ever since Eminem became handsome, in Xiao Shen's words, he has evolved from a dog human to a stinky human. Chapter 844 them. After the small flash came over, Jun Shao and the rangers who jointly acted quickly also arrived. There are only a dozen people in this black breeding house, with only 9 inside, and some others standing guard around. After all, if there are too many people, they will be easily exposed. The two strongest ones, the house owner Ashin and the acting trainer Abeo, were directly carried by Eminem. When the 5 acting trainers were transferring Pokémon, they were trapped because of the rescue actions of Little Boss and Little Bui. The sleeping area. There are 2 more, originally at the teleportation point, after receiving the wireless communication. When I wanted to go to the sleeping area for support, I was blocked by Xiaodian. As for the others scattered around, they were directly held down by the joint action team. As a result of the entire operation, most of the expected goals were achieved. All Pokémon were rescued and none were teleported away. However, many Pokémon were indeed injured, most of which occurred during the resistance in the sleeping area, but the most serious ones were undoubtedly in the archives room. Some of Ashin's Pokémon are obviously victims, and this is very obvious in Electric Dragon and Electric Umbrella. All these Pokémon were seriously injured, and the most seriously injured ones were not out of danger yet. As for the evidence, all the information of ordinary customers was intercepted by Noah, and most of the information of confidential customers was also intercepted. This was already beyond expectations. In addition, during the arrest process, 1 person involved died, and another was seriously injured. In comparison, this is a little matter. Of course, Abeo was the one who died in the Big Bang. Without the protection of Pokémon, Abeo's body was completely wiped out. The one who was seriously injured was Ashin, because the bond was too low, and the big explosion still almost caused real damage to him, with no reduction. In this regard, under Miwako's suggestion, the joint action team has determined that it was caused by the arrest, and was not even prepared to classify whether it specifically occurred during Eminem's personal actions. In short, it was caused by the arrest and they deserve it. Eminem then asked Noah to copy the data to the mobile hard drive. That guy should be able to wake up, right? There are still more than a dozen VIPs whose identities I don't know. Eminem looked worriedly at Ashin, who was being carried away. Well, it doesn't matter if he dies or not, but Eminem is worried that he won't be able to catch the dozen or so fish that slipped through the net. There are more than 30 funders in total, and there are 19 people downloaded by Noah. These 19 people have solid evidence, and it is difficult to escape guilt. There are 2 others who only have time to download some basic information. It hurt my brain, but it's not the kind of injury that won't wake up. As for whether we can find out through interrogation, we will be tested. Miwako answered honestly at this time. Eminem thought for a while and then came up with an idea. Can we not release the list first and persuade them to surrender, and then slowly arrest them and increase their psychological pressure? Miwako shook her head when she heard this. It's okay to persuade someone to surrender, but if it's a threat, I'm afraid I can't do it. After all, this is a regular government, and procedural justice is required. Okay, I'll do it, Eminem said, then paused and said, anyway, I don't have the quality. Emphasis was placed on his self-righteousness. No, you've already helped a lot. Let's leave it to us later. Miwako obviously knew the involvement and didn't want Eminem to take risks. That Ashin has threatened me, saying that those people will definitely know my identity. Eminem said at this time, we will try our best. Miwako also wanted to help Eminem get rid of the relationship as much as possible. The person excavated this time was indeed more important than they thought, otherwise they would not ask Eminem for help. It seems that this place is not only a black breeding house, but also undertakes some experimental research functions, and has deeper sponsors. This is particularly obvious in the data. Most of the information is recorded in detail. This is not like a simple black breeding house. And this person Ashin, it was true that he was once an expert breeder, but because he was involved in violating the basic ethics and morals of Pokémon breeding, although he was not convicted in the end, he was also disqualified as a breeder. The VIPs are not limited to the Quartz Alliance, nearly half of them are from other alliances. The Junsha department of this joint operation is the Special Operations Team of the Quartz Alliance, which has limited influence on other alliances. On the other hand, Joey and the Rangers are both cross-regional organizations. No need. They still want to target me? I want to strike first. This time there is no need to hide my affairs. Just announce it directly. Later, I will issue a public warning in my own name. Eminem said unconcernedly. As for disclosing undisclosed information without authorization, may it be illegal, Eminem doesn't care either. There's a lot of nonsense in this regard. After all, the Alliance in this world is not a very sophisticated ruling organization. After all, these information were obtained by Eminem and handed over to Junsha's organization, not Junsha gave them to Eminem. Even if Eminem leaked them, it's not a big problem. As for charges such as defamation, the league's supervision is even smaller. The bad thing is that there are still people on the internet who question Eminem's real pharmacist skills and think he is a hype. The good thing is that there are also people who speak up and think that Eminem was hacked during the rookie competition draw, and there is nothing a bold man can do. The same goes for these incriminating evidences. Therefore, Miwako did not use the legal risks to remind Eminem. She just sighed. I shouldn't have asked you for help if I had known better. It wasn't that it was troublesome, but she didn't expect to put Eminem in danger. No, at most it's just that some congressmen, rich people, etc. don't like it. Eminem doesn't care. In real comparison, the status of these people he offends is just that, far less than that of Teacher Jumu. Not as good as the Suzuki group, not as good as the Daidaji group, even taken individually, not as good as Eminem. As Eminem said to Ashin before, what about Sakaki? Eminem says just said, and without me, you wouldn't have been able to find these. By the way, as I said before, the secret information, that couldn't be downloaded. I didn't have time to find out anything specifically, but I found this during the data outsourcing. Eminem didn't either understand why the data can also be seen as outsourced. But in short, this is how the world works. What? Miwako said and looked at Eminem. At this time, Eminem squatted down and drew on the ground with his fingers. At first, Miwako just frowned when she saw the skeleton, but as Eminem drew the tentacles below and finally circled them, Miwako couldn't sit still. This is. Miwako was stunned when she saw this and then said in disbelief, how is it possible? They should have them. After hearing this, Eminem looked at Miwako inquiringly, as if she recognized her directly. Chapter 845 Hydra. What's wrong? Eminem originally wanted to ask Miwako to check if there was any relevant information. Unexpectedly, Miwako seemed to recognize him directly and was very shocked. Where did you see this? Miwako asked quickly. Although he tried to soothe his emotions as much as possible, Eminem still felt her tension. The final outsourcing of encrypted data. Didn't I say that from the beginning? Eminem also wondered why Miwako was so shaken. Miwako is not someone who gets nervous easily. Seeing that Miwako seemed to be thinking about something, Eminem interrupted after a while. Miwako? What on earth is this? Miwako hesitated after hearing this. At this point, no matter how dangerous it is closely related to me. You need to tell me, right? And even if you don't tell me, I will ask Teacher Jumu. Eminem spread his hands. This case was indeed more serious than Miwako imagined. Point in their previous expectations, the only ones that could be touched were those on the first floor. Point the existence of a second layer of qualified sponsors was unexpected. If he had known about it earlier, Eminem would not have been allowed to participate. Point. But I didn't expect that the final secret was related to this. If I had known earlier, not to mention Eminem, I'm afraid they won't be here. But higher ups, even Mr. Watanabe, may take action himself. Of course, with their level of caution, it was impossible to be discovered in advance. Some little tails were caught this time, entirely because of Eminem's unexpected behavior. Otherwise, if only the joint action team takes action, even the second level may not be able to discover it, and even the first level may not be able to catch it. At that time, everyone will only think that this is a black breeding house that destroyed the evidence, and then cooperate with the prosecutor's office in the difficult investigation and prosecution. After listening to Eminem's words, Miwako hesitated and said, "Indeed, things have reached this point. I can't hide it from you. I'm really sorry." When it comes to mentioning it, Miwako still blames herself. Point. But Eminem just brushed his bangs and said, "It doesn't matter. The greater the ability, the greater the responsibility." Unfortunately, Miwako's attention was completely elsewhere now, and she did not appreciate Eminem's beauty. "Actually, I'm not very clear about this. You can ask Dr. Jumu later, but be sure to keep it confidential, and don't let other people know about it." Miwako reminded at this time. Point. As for Drive Jumu, he is not considered other people. After all, he is the core member of the Alliance. Although he seems to have no position, the definition of Pokémon Alliance is a guardian and comforter of Pokémon. An alliance jointly managed with human connectors is an alliance united by Junsha, Joai, and many Pokémon experts and trainers. If Eminem doesn't ask, he is afraid that Mr. Do will immediately ask everyone for a meeting. Point. The other people Miwako reminded were, Eminem looked at Tomoyo and Sakura in the distance, then nodded. Point. Upon seeing this, Miwako said one word without hesitation: Hydra, Slim, Shady. No wonder Eminem felt a little familiar just now. It's a pity that Eminem really lacks understanding of things over there. He hasn't even watched all 4 Avengers movies, but he only knows a little bit about them. Point. But of course Hydra knows. It's not even just a little impression from his previous life. This is the second time Eminem has heard this name after traveling through time. Point. The first time was when I asked ZioAI about the details of the Dark Organization. ZioAI once said, although the Dark Organization seems to be one with the Flame Team now, it actually has a longer history than the Flame Team. This is just because the boss of the Flame Team and a researcher, Fralada, and the Dark Organization cooperates very closely, even to the extent of sharing resources and organizations, which is why the current concept of the Dark Organization and Team Flare has emerged. Point. Prior to this, the Dark Organization had cooperated with many evil factions in its history. These include the Death Eaters, that Eminem is more familiar with, who once ran rampant in the Galar region, including the Cosmic Demon who forced the Human Alliance to awaken Rayquaza to fight and caused poor signals all over the world. Kifu, including the Dark Kingdom, that puts the moon goddess Lunala into a deep sleep, including the Hezu region, the once haunted Hydra. When ZioAI mentioned it at the time, Eminem actually didn't know the details of the deeds of these organizations. The ones Eminem had heard about could only be said to be their peers, but later Eminem also looked up some information, but it was not specific. The reason for checking is because Eminem knows that the Dark Organization has cooperated with them in the past. If the remnants of them appear in the future, they will undoubtedly be enemies with Eminem. Point. Just because at that time, even if Eminem was sure that the Dark Lord would come back, in all likelihood, it had not happened in the past few years. So Eminem just searched it by himself, and did not go to teacher Jumu or Grandma Rexy to inquire. And the information about them on the internet, almost none, especially Death Eaters and the Dark Lord, because they involve the wizarding world. The news is completely blocked. Point. The one that can be searched the most is actually Hydra. Although there is no specific information, from a few words, Eminem knows that it was the evil force that fought against the United Alliance in the first 100 years of the Alliance era. 201 years ago, Pokémon leagues began to be established all over the world, but at that time they were only established Of course, there was a process of development before they reached today's dominant position point. During this period, the Pokémon Alliance could be said to have dealt a devastating blow to the original forces of the Old Kingdom. In a short period of time, they were either violently banned or surrendered and accepted. However, later there were some truly powerful enemies. Their basic idea was the same as that of the Pokémon Alliance, which was to change the relationship between humans and Pokémon, and make greater use of Pokémon's power in exchange for human rights. Development, just more radical. For example, Team Galaxy, which Eminem is most familiar with. There are still remnants of the party, entrenched in the Sinnoh region. As of the 48th year of the Alliance, after the Battle of the Scorched Tower, the Galaxy team completely withdrew from the Johto region, and generally speaking, in the process of the rise of the Alliance, the Xianguan continent belongs to the category of treating chaos first. Regions such as Galar and Kalos will continue to be in chaos for much longer. The most chaotic area of Hezhan finally settled down 100 years ago and established alliance rule. The main enemy of the United Alliance is Hydra. Miwako was shocked because she thought, or in the common sense around the world, Hydra should have been completely destroyed. For the Unova region, this name has a magical power similar to the Dark Lord in the Wizarding world of Galar. It is not that sensitive to Xianguan continent, but to all Junsha, it is very sensitive. After all, the headquarters of the Junsha clan is in the Hezhan area. Even so, it has been fighting with Hydra for so long, which is enough to show that it is the old enemy of Junsha. However, Miwako did not reveal any more secrets. After all, she was only a member of the Quartz Special Operations team. She did not know anything too confidential. She would continue to report this matter. If there is anything involving Eminem in the future, she would report it again. Take the initiative to contact him. Chapter 846 AN-039, DUN-039, S approval. Because the matter of the squid breeding house was more involved than Eminem thought, Eminem not only did not mention the specific reasons to Tomoyo and Sakura, but even gave up on discovering the ultimate alien beast material, and told Yumi at present, it seems that this line of the black breeding house mainly involves the research project of Hydra, and may even involve Hydra-res treatment of some powerful people who have no talent for Pokémon training and are unwilling to establish bonds to win over. Later, the auxiliary medicine used in the project was involved in the smuggling case of ultimate alien beast materials. In this way, unless it is later discovered that this smuggling case is closely related to the remnants of Hydra, there is no need for Yumi to connect the two things, which will only make things more complicated and Yumi more confused. Moreover, regarding the Hydra matter, it is not appropriate to rashly expand the scope of notification. However, Eminem still talked to ZioAI about Hydra. After all, ZioAI was closely related to the Dark Organization, and the first time Eminem heard about Hydra was from her. If Hydra is really alive, it might still have contact with the Dark Organization. Because of the unexpected discovery, Eminem assisted the Joint Action Team and stayed on guard for a long time. In the evening, Mr. Do rushed over in person. This is the second time Eminem has met Adu. The first time was after the Kamen Rider Monster Cup incident. We meet again. It seems that we are really destined. Adu saw Amu again. He was stunned for a moment, then nodded to him, and said Eminem didn't show off his good looks either. Eminem's appearance bonus is largely the same as that of fairy type. If they are both fairy type, they will be immune to the bonus, while high level, dragon type, trainers, can also be immune. After all, fairy system represents external power, while dragon system represents the fusion of water, fire, grass, and electricity, and the power of natural protection. The two are incompatible. I think I'm connected with the smuggling case and the Dark Organization, Eminem said helplessly, because Tomoyo and Sakura were also there. Eminem did not mention Hydra, and only said Dark Organization perhaps. This is when the times are calling you. Adu encouraged him. Adu also brought many trainers here. Obviously, he will search this place carefully and not let go of any doubts. Tomoyo vaguely noticed that the specifications of this house were not like those of an ordinary black breeding house, but he was just guessing that there might be some big shot among the customers involved in the case, and he would not think too wildly about it, associating it with nine-head snake related. It's Better not to leak the matter this time, and the same goes to Yumi. At this time, Adu warned Eminem alone. Understood. I think so too. Amu nodded. Point later, Adu looked at the list of customers and felt a little headache. What's wrong? This evidence is quite sufficient, isn't it? Although the original file has been blown up, the Pokémon data provided above should be enough for verification. Eminem said in confusion upon seeing this at this time. Adu shook his head and said, no, it's not about this. Adu didn't say much, but Amu took the initiative to ask. Point originally, Eminem thought that Adu would not talk to him about this easily, but unexpectedly, when he asked, he said so. Point what worries Adu is the strength of control over these people. If you overreact, people from Hydra may notice something strange. If you relax, Hydra's clues may slip away. Adu said with some distress at this time. Point not every one of these customers may be related to Hydra, but at least someone should be related. The safest way is of course to give the order immediately after Adu, and also notify Junsha everywhere, and immediately hold everyone down. Point however, in this case, Hydra will definitely be suspicious. With their caution, they will probably cut off its tail immediately and decisively. This line will no longer be traceable, and it may also lead to secondary cases such as silencing, and if it is handled as an ordinary black nursery case, some of the clients with status will definitely show their special powers. Although it is difficult to completely escape the guilt, you can still get rid of some of the culpability by pushing 4, 5, or 6, and the normal processing will be very slow and difficult to deal with. After all, some people are city councillors and local gangsters, which also gives the 9-head snake has more opportunities to deal with subsequent moves and tails. If that's the case, I have an idea. Originally, Adu just casually talked about it because Eminem asked about it, but unexpectedly, Eminem actually had a solution. Huh? What can I do? Adu immediately asked seriously. Point. If other newcomers had said this, Adu wouldn't have cared so much, even if he was the winner of the rookie competition. But Eminem and dark organizations in various cases are so compatible that it makes Adu couldn't help but believe in Eminem's ability to fight crime. Just find a reasonable excuse and handle the matter in a special way. For example, when there is a signal, I can immediately publish the news online and coerce the Quartz Alliance to handle the matter immediately. When the time comes, I will handle the matter in a special way and respond. Excessive can also be understood as, I was threatened by a certain passionate trainer, so I had to deal with it more seriously in order not to expand public opinion. Eminem immediately told his solution. No, Mr. Adu, please talk about him too. Miwako was standing aside when she heard Eminem say this again. She quickly denied it. Point however, Adu did not rush to get him out of the relationship at this time. Instead, he looked at Eminem with interest. Yes, indeed a hero comes from a boy. Ha ha ha. Adu smiled instead. Mr. Adu, this matter is not something that ordinary trainers can handle. Miwako was stunned when she heard this. Hearing this, why does it seem that Mr. Adu still agrees with such a nonsense idea? Adu, who was originally a Pokémon investigator, has always been careful not to involve ordinary people in dangerous cases. No, first of all, there is also a difference between ordinary and extraordinary trainers. This is not just the difference between whether they are Junsha or not. Extraordinary trainers, whether they are Junsha or not, cannot be treated as ordinary. In all aspects it's all like that. Adu corrected him seriously. Huh. But Eminem just this year. Miwako probably thought that Eminem was too young, 18 years old. Hahaha. Speaking of which, that Gaiden Emperor was only 18 years old when he debuted. Adu suddenly said with emotion, Mr. Dandy? How can that be the same? Miwako felt even more outrageous. What kind of monster like Dandy can be used as an example? No one knew at that time that he would be the alchemy emperor today. Adu reminded. Eminem felt a little embarrassed when he said that. Dandy's record was far from what Eminem, who was one of the semi-4 in the rookie competition, could match. Even Eminem doesn't think he can replicate Alchemy Emperor's record. Although he has the path to God, Dan Emperor Few people even say that he is a genius, because that would be too flattering for a genius, and only words like monster and pervert are more appropriate. Pointer to use Dan Emperor as an example, which is undoubtedly a high recognition of Eminem. You must know that Adu himself lost to Dan Emperor more than once, and Adu's attitude is also very clear. If you regard Eminem as a little Dan Emperor or a little Adu or a little Zulan, it is normal to take on more responsibilities. As mentioned before, the Pokémon League is also a league of trainers. Trainers with high badge certification have various privileges in the league, and if they can become masters, they do not need any conditions, can naturally become the core of the alliance. Chapter 847 Platicodon City. Dan Emperor, a character commonly cited in examination compositions. It has the dual attributes of early bloomer and late bloomer. Needless to say, he is an early bloomer. He is still only in his early 30s, and he has already been ranked number 1 among professional trainers for a long time. Champion of the Galar region, honorary principal of Didon High School in the world, second consecutive World Masters Championship. The reason for saying late bloomer is because Emperor Dan only started traveling when he was 18, not 16. Because his family conditions were very ordinary. Dandy did not participate in the Galar rookie competition until he was 18 years old and debuted as a professional trainer as the rookie competition champion. At this time, Eminem and his group had arrived at the outskirts of Platicodon City. Because it was getting late, they chose to take a long distance buses for. Why it's getting late? It's because everyone was delayed in the mountains for a day because of the black breeding house, and Eminem wanted to catch up on the progress, so he hurried on at night. Why? Have you been reading The Life of Emperor Dan? ZOAI looked at Amu next to him in confusion. That's what a real man should be, Eminem said proudly. ZOAI. Because she didn't hear Adu's praise for Eminem, it was difficult for ZOAI to understand what was wrong with him. Mr. Dandy, that's really a name I've heard since I was a child. Sakura sighed with emotion at this time point in the 189th year of the Alliance. Dandy won the Galar Rookie Championship and made his debut. Because he was just an 18-year-old rookie championship. After all, there were championships every year, and he was still older, so he didn't stand out in the world. In the 190th year of the Alliance, Emperor Dan came to Chengdu, and also met his ace partner in the Cherizard Valley of Chengdu. Later, he participated in the Chengdu competition, and won the championship. He began to attract the attention of many people in Xianguan continent, and began to the myth of his invincibility. In Alliance 191, Dandy became the official gym leader, participated in the World Gym Leader competition, and won the championship. The 20-year-old gym leader champion naturally became a high-profile superstar. In the 192nd year of the Alliance, the 21-year-old Dandy participated in the Heavenly King Cup and defeated many veteran kings who participated in the competition. He won the championship and shocked the world. In Alliance 193, Dandy participated in the Pokémon Masters that year and won 10 consecutive qualifying rounds, directly qualifying to challenge the 8 Masters. He also successfully challenged Cockable, advanced to the finals, and finally won the crown, becoming the youngest player in the world. Masters Championship. In the next 3 years, Dandy opened Didon High School all over the world and participated in more than 10 regional competitions and 3 world-level competitions, maintaining an unbeatable record of victory, and his titles gradually became distorted, monster, pervert, and advertisement. Calls such as Crazy Devil began to be applied to him. In 1977, 4 years ago, Dandy defended his title at the World Masters. This was the only defending champion of the World Masters in the past 10 years. Luck plays a large part in the game, so it is normal to have some losses and some wins. In fact, when facing powerful enemies such as Adu, Dan Emperor is often in danger, but just win. By the way, I remember that, when I was a child, the evaluation of Mr. Dandy on the internet was still polarized. Tomoyo recalled at this time. Yes, that's right, I remember it too. At that time, there was Mr. Swan Dandy who, regardless of his identity, Sakura also said quickly. ZOAI nodded aside and realized that Tomoyo was looking at him, so he quickly looked out the window. In theory, a 7-year-old kid shouldn't know this. Eminem doesn't know either. After all, he has only been in this world for 4 years, and he didn't use the internet much in the first 3 years. He spent all his time wandering around in the knowledge of pharmacy. Indeed, there was a lot of controversy about alchemy in the early years. The main reason was that he was very tactical or very qualified, and often matched skills in a targeted manner. To this end, he also specially trained Pokémon to quickly switch skills, so that you can deal with various opponents during the game. In the many years before this, everyone has developed the concept of tactics are not in the flow point, and after winning, or even defending the World Masters Championship, Dandy is different from ordinary trainers. Other Pokémon Masters will probably lose interest in things like competition after winning some heavyweight championships. However, Dandy did not have any cooling off period after winning the World Masters. After winning the World Masters for 2 consecutive years, he continued to build his record and enthusiastically participated in various world level and even regional level competitions. Not to mention, there is also the even more criticized title of advertising madman. After becoming popular, every time Dandy competes, there is no empty space on his clothes, and they are all densely packed with advertising spots. All of these, without any master style behavior, will inevitably be ridiculed. But the value of undefeated is too high. Even some old timers who have never left the mountain who participated in the competition because of Dan Emperor's participation have failed. When a person has no failures, his demeanor is that of a master. Moreover, as an advertising maniac, Dandy was once ridiculed for his eagerness for quick success. However, as the champion of the Galar region, Dandy has indeed brought visible benefits to Galar with his pragmatic style. In recent years, as the undefeated king, Dan Emperor's reputation has become increasingly bipolar. In total, 189 years. Eminem calculated silently in his mind. It should have been this year that, also in the Galar region, the Dark Lord of the Wizarding World was killed by a baby. What a pity. Otherwise, if Voldemort is given at most a few years to completely rule the Wizarding World of Galar, then, when he breaks the tacit understanding between the Wizarding World and the secular world, and declares war on the secular world, in the Galar region, he will face the rising Dan Emperor. What happened in 189? Tomoyo asked in confusion. She really couldn't remember anything that happened in that year. It's nothing. He can be replaced, Eminem said confidently. Tomoyo? After being encouraged by Adu, Eminem was really confident. But comparing it to Dan Emperor, I don't know if Adu is serious, but his high opinion of Eminem is definitely true. Therefore, Adu will not regard Eminem as an ordinary trainer, or in other words, not as someone to be protected. Of course, Adu also upgraded the permissions for Eminem's illustration book accordingly. It was not the permission in terms of the number of badges, but the permission to dispatch alliance manpower to cooperate with actions at some special moments in the Chengdu area. Eminem originally wanted some authority as a Pokémon investigator, so he could show off when he saw Shuchi next time, but Adu sternly refused. It wasn't a matter of principle as a Pokémon investigator, but theoretically, Adu has left the Pokémon Investigators organization, otherwise he wouldn't be able to become the champion of the Johto region. By the way, you don't need to contact Sonoko in advance, Tomoyo asked when he saw that the bus was about to arrive at the Pokémon Center. Previously, Eminem and Sonoko made an appointment to meet in Platicadon City because Xiaolan is determined not to go to Supertown, so their first stop in the Johto area next year will be Platicadon City. Chapter 848. Who are you, handsome guy? Forget it, it's already so late. I'll send her a message when I get to the Pokémon Center, Eminem said after looking at the time. It's almost midnight, and it should be a little faster when we get to the Pokémon Center. If Sonoko is still awake by then, he will naturally be able to see the message. If he is asleep, he will see the same message the next day. If he sends a message now, she might have to stay up late waiting for him. But as soon as Eminem finished speaking, he received information from Yuanzi on the picture book, asking him where he was. He also said that he and Xiaolan had found a good late night snack, and asked him if he wanted to go directly. Seeing this, Eminem replied honestly, saying that he was already on the bus, and turned to Tomoyo and Sakura in the back seat and asked, I want to go directly to have a supper. Eminem, discovered that Sakura had fallen asleep breathing evenly. Well, although she was still talking just now, but Sakura's work and rest schedule is still very childish. She will feel sleepy at night. Even if she stays up after 9 o'clock, she will fall asleep at any time. Let's go back to the Pokémon Center first. Sakura and I won't go there, Tomoyo said, making a gesture. Eminem also replied that he should go to bed early in order to cure it. After arriving at the Pokémon Center in Platicadon City, Sakura was led out of the car by Tomoyo in a daze. After that, the four of them opened the room. After Eminem put away his and ZioAI's luggage, he sent Sonoko another message information. They ordered a midnight snack. Are you hungry? Amu asked ZioAI. Well, it's time for ZioAI to go to bed, but, as we all know, you can't sleep if you're hungry. Let's go and see what Miss Yuanzi has ordered. ZioAI didn't look like a child at all, and didn't feel sleepy at all. Eminem followed the room number, and came to Yuanzi and Xiaolan's room. After knocking on the door, when he opened the door, it was Xiaolan who he saw, which made Eminem a little stunned. Usually it was Yuanzi who opened the door for him at this time point. Although it was not an important matter, Eminem was still surprised when he suddenly found something different from usual. And what's even more surprising than Eminem is Xiaolan looked at the Eminem in front of her and was stunned. Why didn't the garden open the door? Because she is nervous. Xiaolan's speculation before scared her. How could a person suddenly become handsome? Has your mentality changed? Yuanzi guessed the same way now, so she didn't even dare to see Eminem for the first time. And now Xiaolan's first reaction is, handsome guy, who are you? When Eminem saw Xiaolan's expression, he immediately understood what was going on. So, he brushed his bangs and pretended to be frivolous and said, don't you invite me in. Beauty, Conan was standing by, staring at him with dead eyes. Now Conan was sure that this guy had indeed awakened some fairy ability. Xiaolan also recognized Eminem at this time, and sure enough, there was a very subtle difference. Oh, it's Eminem. Come in, haha. Xiaolan smiled. Obviously she also realized that she had misunderstood. Unexpectedly, Conan's guess was correct in the end, and I had done several days of ideological work for Yuanzi in vain. Yuanzi was in the room at this time, finally catching his breath. When he heard Ami coming in, he turned his head suddenly, as if to change the way of visual judgment. But it's still so hot. Yuanzi, who has always been very handsome, and because of Xiaolan's previous words, saw this handsome face again, and suddenly his face turned slightly red. But Xiaolan was behind Eminem at this time, crossing her arms and making an X sign. Snoko? Amu was busy greeting Yuanzi and didn't notice anything, but ZioAI looked back at Xiaolan keenly at this moment, and the latter quickly retracted her arm in embarrassment. Yuanzi looked at Eminem's handsome face and didn't know what to say and didn't think too deeply about Xiaolan's hint. Conan took the initiative and said, brother Eminem, have you awakened some fairy type ability? It's so powerful, it looks so charming. Eminem immediately rubbed his dog's head angrily and emphasized, Conan, have you been taking online classes for too long and your Chinese scores are no longer good? That's called charming. Hearing that Eminem didn't deny it, Yuanzi realized at this moment, oh so that's it, hahaha. Eminem is actually also wondering why Yuanzi, who is the most beautiful person, has the least reaction to his true appearance correction. But this time, Eminem suddenly discovered that when Yuanzi looked at his face, the admiration and appreciation that was about to come out suddenly became sincere. At this time, ZioAI combined Xiaolan's secret code and had a thorough understanding of Yuanzi's changes, but she just curled her lips and did not explain to Eminem why Yuanzi had the smallest reaction before. Because there is psychological baggage I was struggling with. Do I think he has become more handsome because of something else? Of course, I deliberately restrained myself, but now I appreciate it openly. To a certain extent, having this kind of doubt about yourself already means, is this a great late night snack? Braised tofu is good. Eminem had already started eating, right? When I tasted it for the first time yesterday, I knew it must be yours. Ahem. Yuanzi showed off proudly, but paused midway. Is it so awesome? After you taste it, you know it's my brother's taste? Zioai was standing aside and asked with a half smile. Yuanzi hesitated when he heard this and then said critically, speaking of which, Eminem, your sister is just like that kid. She can stay up late. Haha. Conan laughed dryly beside him. Zialan also said at this time, it is indeed very late. Yuanzi, Eminem, please rest after eating. No. Yuanzi responded. Soon, Yuanzi happened to see the magazine on the side, so he asked Eminem, by the way, Eminem, you still want to challenge the gym, right? What number is it? If I challenge again, it will be the 9th one. Eminem said and brushed his bangs. It's amazing. Yuanzi seemed to buy it. Zialan, Conan, Zioai, by the way, if you want to challenge, you should sign up as soon as possible, and you can still catch up with the duel at the Thornbud Tower. Sonoko said at this time, catch up. Amu was stunned when he heard this. The Platicodon gym will have a gym duel in the Trumpet Bud Tower. This is one of the features of the Platicodon gym. These Eminems have known it for a long time, but what does catch up mean? It seems that land has been contracted and the Trumpet Bud Tower is about to be moved. Yuanzi also read about this in a magazine, and since Eminem entered the signal area, he has been reading the life of Dan Emperor, and his mind has fast forwarded to Old Emperor, known as Little Eminem, so he didn't have time to read the news. Chapter 849 The Property Rights Issue of Trumpet Bud Tower. The Tower of Trumpet Bud is actually going to be demolished. Amu said in surprise. Yes, I heard that. The old owner passed away last month, and now his son wants to move the Trumpet Bud Tower. Yuanzi only heard about it, and was not very clear. Old owner? Amu was stunned when he heard this, not quite understanding the logic. That is to say, the current owner of the Platicodon gym is not the descendant of the old gym owner, but a student. Therefore, after the old gym owner passed away, his son inherited some properties, which are not part of the gym. Yuanzi explained. When Eminem heard this, he was suddenly surprised. Dojo is private, but there are many gym owners who do not regard it as private property. It is best if the children and grandchildren are able to inherit it. If they do not have the ability, then the school must be passed on. For priority, for example, the old leader of the Platicodon gym, after resigning, passed the position of leader to his favorite disciple, the current leader Asu. He also separated all the gym related industries from his own name. As for the old gym owner's biological son, he really didn't have much talent in Pokémon, but with the old gym owner's property and reputation, he became a wealthy businessman. When the old owner was alive, there was naturally no controversy, but last month, the old gym owner passed away, and his son reorganized his father's inheritance and inherited all the properties that had not been transferred to the gym's name, including the signboard of the Platicodon gym next to the gym. Tower of Trumpet Buds of architecture. If you ask me, that lady must be cunning. He deliberately took advantage of the old owner's negligence. That's right. Otherwise, when the old owner was still alive, he wouldn't even mention these things. It is said that before his death, the old gym owner notarized most of his property to the gym in order to be wary of his son, but the Trumpet Sprout Tower, the old gym owner probably forgot that it was not on the same land as the gym. Asu gym leader should also be confused. Suddenly the Tower of Trumpet Bud no longer belongs to the gym. Moreover, I heard that the previous Ate also made a lot of excessive conditions to the owner of Asu Hall. After being rejected, he came up with the matter of the Trumpet Bud Tower. The owner of Asu Hall wanted to rent, or I bought it, but the lion opened its mouth. The people from the city office actually ruled that Ate owns it. Yuanzi and Xiaolan both denounced that son at this time. Indeed. From the perspective of the inheritance system, the Tower of Trumpet Buds is not placed in the name of the gym, and the land is independent, so it is a general property. As the only son of the old gym owner, Ate will become the owner, after paying the inheritance tax. Can be inherited. As for how to deal with it after the inheritance, it is his own business. However, anyone with a discerning eye can see that the old hotel owner definitely did not think this way during his lifetime, and Ate also immediately attacked Asu after the old hotel owner passed away. But the rules are like this. It may not be reasonable in individual cases, but maintaining the rules is the best choice. Zio AI said very adultly at this time point. After hearing this, Yuanzi and Xiaolan couldn't help but be stunned when they saw Zio AI's mature expression and heard the overly mature words, "Hey." Seeing this, Conan quickly reminded her in a low voice, "It's almost done. Are you afraid that others will treat you like a child?" Yuanzi didn't look at her for too long, but turned to Amu and asked, "Amu, what do you think?" I saw that Eminem was a little dazed at this time, seeming to be thinking about something. "What? Did you remember?" Yuanzi couldn't help but wonder when he saw this. "You just said that the old hotel owner's son is called Ate, right?" Eminem suddenly asked. "Yes, what's wrong?" Yuanzi asked. "I remember that the current style of the Kikyo gym should be called Bayota Fission style, right? Bayota should be the surname." Eminem continued at this time. Yuanzi really didn't pay attention to the school of the gym. After all, she was not a professional trainer. "That's right, it's a school that specializes in bird skills in the flying department." Conan looked like he knew everything at this time point. Yuanzi stood aside and gave this little kid who knew everything a blank look. "That is to say, that son's full name should be Takarata, right?" Eminem said with an incomprehensible expression. "That must be it. Have you heard of it somewhere?" Yuanzi looked at Eminem in confusion. She hadn't paid much attention to that person's full name before. As for where has Eminem heard of it, I heard is not quite accurate, but Eminem did saw this name not long ago. It's on the list of Squid King breeding house. Eminem's eyes gradually became sharper. He should have just trained a wrestling hawk recently. That's right. He was training on behalf of a wrestling eagle not long ago. Although he has flying attributes, the wrestling eagle man can only glide and cannot fly, so he can be trained in that black breeding house. After all, if it is a flying Pokémon, the possibility of escaping will be greatly increased, and the cost of forced restraint will be even greater. Ah, that's right. I heard someone talk about this at the Pokémon Center today. It seems to have happened last month. The old lady said that he had trained Pokémon, and maybe he hoped to inherit the gym. In the end, it is said that he was scolded by the old gym owner. After that, the old gym owner completely entrusted the gym to the Asu gym leader. It's just a pity I didn't pay attention to it before. The property rights of the Trumpet Bud Tower are separate. Xiaolan said. She said the old owner was quite strict. Yuanzi heard that Tay was scolded for his poor ability, and he suddenly felt sympathy. But Eminem said at this time, "No, that's not because of strictness. The reason for scolding is probably because the old owner found out." "What did you find?" Yuanzi asked hurriedly when he saw that Amu seemed to know something. "I found out that the wrestling hawk was actually trained by a black breeding house through brainwashing and abuse." Eminem said directly. "The only things that need to be kept secret are things related to Hydra. As for the rest, even if he doesn't meet this Takarada, Eminem will still choose a target tomorrow and strike hard. This would give Mr. Adu an excuse to cut through the mess quickly without being noticed by Hydra. The previous appointment with Adu also gave 3 days of preparation time, and now Adu must be ready. Even if he hadn't encountered such a thing, Eminem would still be preparing to attack the internet tomorrow. Now that he has encountered it, Eminem felt that it would be more natural, a double attack in reality and on the internet, showing a sincere love. And hearing Eminem talk about the black breeding house, Yuanzi and Xiaolan were also very angry. After hearing about Eminem's plan, Yuanzi immediately decided with great interest that he would definitely help Eminem expand his influence. Of course, Eminem did not mention that this plan was discussed with Mr. Adu. It's as if Eminem is taking the initiative to kidnap alliance agencies from various places and deal with these people as soon as possible. Chapter 850. Handsome guy passing by. Alliance. Early in the morning on February 16th, 2010, Eminem came to the Platicadon gym alone. Originally, Yuanzi wanted to come together, but they slept too late last night, including Tomoyo and Sakura, and they didn't get up in the morning because they were tired from traveling. Eminem, on the other hand, went out early at 7 o'clock and arrived at the Platicadon gym at 8 o'clock. At this time, there was still a lot of traffic in front of the Platicadon gym, and there was also an endless stream of trainers coming and going at the gate. After all, The Platicadon Gym is one of the 8 12-star gyms in the Johto area, and it is located in Platicadon City, the regional central city point in the northeast corner of the gym. An antique 4-story tower is located point the Tower of Trumpet Buddies, one of the landmark buildings of Platicadon Gym and even Platicadon City. On the outer wall of the uppermost floor, there is a huge relief sculpture of Trumpet Bud Point. However, it is different from the shape of ordinary trumpet buds. Not only does the body of the trumpet buds on this relief not look slender and thin, but it makes people feel that it reaches the sky and the earth. The trumpet-shaped head also rises high to the sky. According to legend, the Babel pillar of the Tower of Trumpet Bud is the main trunk left behind after the death of a super huge trumpet bud. I don't know whether it is true or not. Point in addition, the head part of this trumpet bud relief is actually carved from a whole big flower mega ore stone, because for a long time, the Tower of Trumpet Buds has been within the scope of the Platicadon Gym. The Platicadon Gym has a dual venue inside. On weekends, the Tower of Trumpet Buds will also be opened for the public to enjoy. Therefore, everyone agreed that this was the property of the gym. The old gym owner obviously ignored this. The title deed of the Trumpet Bud Tower and the title deed of the gym were not in the same book. Like most other trainers, Eminem first came to the tower to take a look. After all, in a few days, this Tower of Trumpet Buds will be demolished. Then Eminem came to the gym's reception hall. As expected, there were many people who signed up. It was said that many local trainers wanted to have one last showdown at the Thornbud Tower venue. Eminem, wearing sunglasses and a peaked cap, was also lining up. Honestly, at this time, ranked after Eminem. Sir, are you going to challenge for the 9th badge? The front desk staff said in surprise. Yes, I heard that the duel for the 8th and above badges will be arranged on the 4th floor of the Thornbud Tower. I hope it can be arranged in the next few days, Eminem said loudly, and low-key. The trainers around him immediately cast envious glances at this mysterious man. How? Someone is challenging for the 9th badge. Is it a professional trainer? It's very possible. He looks very young. Hey, it's just the 9th badge to challenge. That means he only has 8 badges now, so he may not be able to win the challenge. That's right. Maybe I just came to say goodbye to the Tower of Trumpet Bud, but why do you go out of your way to hide your identity? Look, those guys are here again. What? Damn it, how could the old owner have such an unfilial son? When Eminem heard that, everyone was still talking about him at first, but then, he was naturally robbed of the limelight. Even because everyone turned to look at a fat guy. Even the front desk staff saw Eminem's identity information when registering the illustrated book. And not a single exclamation was heard. I saw a guy in a purple suit who looked like a middle-aged fat tiger, followed by a weak-looking male secretary with glasses in a brown suit, walked in with square steps. This person was obviously known to many people present, and they all looked at him with disgust. Listening to the discussions around him, Eminem suddenly understood the target had appeared. There are really a lot of people there? Ha ha ha. At this time, Orntail laughed, then looked at the receptionist and said critically, why this expression? TSK, 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 my father just passed away, and you are all you won't welcome me anymore? It's really a waste of time, the receptionist wanted to say. If the old owner is still here, we must kick you out. Judging from this behavior, it fits Eminem's stereotype of a dirty businessman. Mr. Ate, today is probably not. The receptionist was trying to lure him away, but Ate pushed him savagely. It's not what? Don't forget, I will lend you the Tower of Trumpet Buds for a few days temporarily, so I can give face to the city office. Ate said rudely. At this moment, the owner of Asu Hall, who got the news, had already landed at the door on his bibby bird, and walked in at the same time. Don't argue here. Asu has blue hair and wears a blue gym uniform. He looks very young and energetic, which is completely opposite to Ata's greasy appearance. It can be seen that Asu also has great opinions on him, but he doesn't want to argue here. Oh, that's just right. I'm not here to argue. Let's talk about the demolition of the Trumpet Bud Tower in 2 days. As soon as Ate opened his mouth, he was interrupted by Eminem. Wait, are you to Karate? Eminem called out his name directly. Point at this time, a trainer was seen standing up, and everyone else around him was also confused, including Asu. Point. Although Ate is unhappy, it is indeed a family matter, and the city office has also ruled that the Thornbud Tower and its land belong to Ate, so others can only accurate. Point. Asu also didn't expect that there would be others who would take the lead. Huh. Who are you? The new gym trainer this kid found? TSK, TSK, TSK. Ate heard Eminem's tone, so he spoke in a rather sinister tone. Point. Asu was much younger than him, so he became a kid in Ate's words. No, this is also my first time meeting Master Asu. I saw Eminem taking off his peaked cap and sunglasses while talking. Eminem's fluffy and smooth hair did not collapse at all due to the squeeze of the peaked cap. After taking it off, he shook his head slightly, and the hairstyle was fully unfolded, and there was a sudden gleaming light all around, as if surrounding Eminem's face. To shine out the stars, suddenly there was a sound of exclamation all around. Wow. So handsome. Who is this handsome guy? This is so pretty. Wait. It looks familiar. That's right. It's Eminem. It's Eminem from the Hoopy Town insect catching competition. Huh. Eminem? The one who sells medicine? It's completely different, right? No, it's, in short, it's another version of Eminem. You're searching for articles about bug conferences on the internet. His hair, could it be that he used that kind of hair restorer? No, 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 it should be natural. You see, Champion Sakaki didn't grow out either. It seems that some people actually recognized Eminem. After all, after his true appearance emerged, Eminem also cooperated with the promotion of the insect catching conference in Hoopy Town. Point. Ate obviously didn't recognize Eminem's identity from the noisy voices around him. He just asked with jealousy towards the handsome young man. Huh. Who are you? My name is Eminem, a passing companion of justice. Eminem said confidently. Huh. Justice? PFFT. You are a middle school boy, right? What? Do you still want to protect the Tower of Trumpet Bud? I want to tell you, the Tower of Trumpet Bud belongs to my uncle. Ate zeng to laugh at. Point. Eminem interrupted. You probably haven't forgotten the Squid King's breeding house, right? Ate's expression froze instantly. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.